start streaming thing, but I didn't want to use the same one, so we'll just kind of talk as people get through. Obviously, this is not the sexiest layout of all time. Be patient. Y'all
Oh.
know that I'm technologically challenged. I don't. I'm technologically challenged. So we're gonna figure it out. Let me send these links out. Other than that, how you doing today, brother? How was your day?
Yeah, I'm good. Came back from school doing ASL, and then yeah, now we here. We trying to figure out what we doing with this. We both don't know what we doing with technology, but we know how to talk at least. So we'll
I
do
know.
that.
Like even it's something as simple as I'm like, why is his box all the way filled? Mine isn't, and I have these bars over under and over it. So I'm like, God damn it. Um, how do I share? How do I share? I'm trying to what
it's
okay,
gonna
so
be
okay, there we go.
it's gonna be a problem, bro.
There we go. Let's go. I gotta show my Discord too. Let's go. We will eventually have the comments popping up and everything. I have to do like the interfacing specifically for Kick. We obviously want to get emotes and all that stuff too, but let me know how the like chat experience is, because obviously this is not purple Twitch, no purple Kick. So we're gonna have to just learn as we go along. I'm gonna drop it in the Discord because it's obviously not connected to my bot, and then we will commence. We will commence. We will commence. Uh, everyone, me, and are live on Green Twitch. They were saying I shouldn't post the link in thing because of like it's a terms of service something. I'm like, man, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I'm not important enough. They don't watch me. They don't care what I'm doing. Mm. I'm gonna tell the homie slide, slide. Okay. Apologize for that. Without further ado, let's hop into today's episode. So, welcome to the first episode of Young Paperwork and the Villain. That's YPTV.
Yes,
You
sir. At
you
least
already
that's what we're
know.
going by right now.
Yeah, it's kind of tentative. We'll see what things how things shake out. We plan to be on pretty much everything. We're not gonna limit ourselves particularly to one platform. So hopefully, and the cameras went out. Cameras come back immediately. Come back. There you go. So I think I know what happens when I leave the screen. It doesn't want to show what I'm doing, so it turns us off. So I can't leave the screen for the time being. We'll figure out a better layout and everything. So you said, how does the green stuff work? I don't know. You guys are gonna have to figure it out in the chat. Just let us know how the chat experience is for the time being. But welcome. We got Chief here. He put Chief 3 stacks instead of 3,000. So you know what I'm saying. So first thing I'll say is like we should probably just do a general introductory stuff. Like I'm not saying like don't incriminate yourself. You have to tell your entire autobiography and life story the first day the net walked.
I have no backstory. I just existed one day on the internet.
As for me, I guess I won't go into anything long. Like I'm just a regular dude. Nothing special about me necessarily. But the content that I already make online is more nerd stuff, storytelling, anime, manga, webtoons, video games, and things of that nature. And I wanted to kind of step out of that box and talk more about like real life stuff, like current events, things that are happening in the world, news, everything. Not necessarily overtly always political, but just like stuff in general. Because I enjoy talking about things that are happening in the world. So yeah, say regular people who pay taxes, exactly. Just a regular. I'm just a regular man. Nothing special about me. I haven't done anything crazy yet. I will be there someday, but not yet. And one thing that I really want to do with this channel when we discuss things is I don't know if you agree with this. generally when I'm watching content in all of these spaces, it doesn't really matter if it's political, manosphere, red pill, women, video essays, whatever. I find that most people are on either end of a spectrum, and there's not enough nuance in the discourse, and not enough. They don't go through the minutiae of all the little details, and I do think the details matter. So I think this is an opportunity for me and Vince to come into this space, and instead of being hyperbolic all the time, we're more even keeled, balanced people. Though we have our differences, so it'll be interesting. We'll disagree on stuff, but respectfully. There's no need to be nasty, and I'm excited to get things started. He said, "We live. I am moved. Welcome, welcome."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
Oh, you can use
guess
the emojis. I see. There's some things. I'm gonna start clicking stuff.
he said he said he'll figure it out. He sees stuff, he'll figure it out. For those of you who don't know me, because I haven't been on your channel for a while, because I've just been out of the loop.
Mhm.
I'm Vince. Have many names. I'm the hashtag king, I guess you could say. I have way too many nicknames. Way too many things I go by. Visionary Vince, the villain, Vince Benitez. Like it gets kind of crazy. But anyway, yeah, I have a lot of things that I'm into. I write. I'm into wrestling, movies.
Mhm.
Don't play video games as much, but when I do into that, anime, manga, the whole 9 yards. I'm into just about anything, and there's nothing that I won't discuss. Not afraid to talk about any subject that's within reason, obviously. But yeah, even something's out of reason. I'm sure we'll probably touch on some things that probably just be incredibly insane that we have no business talking about,
I
but
will
we'll do it.
definitely be commenting on things that I have no credentials for, and you're gonna like it. All right, you're gonna sit there and enjoy it. So it'll happen. In terms of like the channel, like what do you kind of hope to do with it? Just entertain, have good conversations, be like a good resource people could come to and be like, these guys make sense when they speak. They're not like overly hyperbolic or whatever, or you just see how it goes kind of thing.
Yeah, I hope to just make this into something that people like you and me would enjoy listening to. Obviously, there's a lot of these podcasts out. There's a lot of people talking about all this stuff. But I think we'll be able to bring a level of balance and still have a level of disagreement because you and me don't agree on everything.
Mm.
And we're in slightly not even that big of a thing, but slightly different ages and slightly different times in our lives.
We don't
Enough
live in the
where
same country, though we're on the
yeah,
same continent.
yeah, that
Mm.
too. And just yeah, I just want to be able to. I think this is a good experience, and I think I hope we do good, and hope it does a lot of things. So I'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
And then maybe we'll sees where to go from there.
I generally like because a lot of you guys know that me and my best friend had a podcast at one moment called the Best Friends Broadcast, but kind of died out because life things. Her and her man moved 4 hours away and got a house, right? So it's just harder to do things like that, and she's a very busy lady. But one thing I thought we did well with our conversations was keep it generally balanced and whatnot too. And me and her had similar and different experiences, the same way that me and Vince are like similar in that sense. We're like there's a lot of overlap and commonality, but there's things that are not the same. So I think that makes for a good mixture. It's not going to be a bunch of circle jerking, over agreeing or over disagreeing, but yeah. So again, we're just gonna have to see how things pan out and shape up. We'll take this one step at a time. I obviously want to get emotes, and I'm gonna get a soundboard and stuff, so things will be improving. I believe I'll be able to make a little kind of podcast room too, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, for the first episode, it's gonna be a little ghetto. this, this is what we got for the time being.
We'll
Um,
figure it out. Quality will improve. We promise.
yeah, yeah, we'll
We have
do.
no choice.
Yeah. I also as a slight side note, I don't know how to name my shows. It's just my
Oh, we're
first one.
really bad. Yeah, well, this is the first time either one of us have used this app, so yeah, we're really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. But you just spamming emos. Charmander. Is it Charmander spinning around? Oh snap! Oh yeah, thanks to the Harem Detective. That's another one. I have a lot of nicknames too. All things considered, I have a lot of nicknames too. I don't respond to a lot of them. Like Young Paperwork is something that like I just kind of made that name out of. Some people ask me where that name comes from. I kind of just made it out of nowhere. I was just like, look, man, there's a character in what is this? Is this show called Hilda? What's it called again? That's crazy. Hilda? It was a cartoon. It was an elf, a little elf, and he just loved the paperwork. It was just so funny to me. He just filing, filing paperwork, filling out paperwork, just stacking papers. Like he just enjoyed it. Like that's young paperwork over there. I just kind of stuck with me, and I just made that my new at name, and I went
Dude,
along with it.
now I gotta go look it up because now I'm like I've never seen this cartoon.
I think it's called Hilda. I hope I'm not wrong. Um,
I looked up Hilda and it's like a girl. I think this is a
yeah,
girl,
yeah,
and she has like a little beret and like
yes,
blue hair,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. That's
I love
that's
her
it.
outfit. But
Yeah,
yeah, okay, let's make
yeah.
sure.
You said you thought paperwork was right to cash. No, I'm broke.
Yeah,
I
we
wish.
broke as hell, boy.
That
We are
that's
we are
paper.
regular we are regular low middle class citizens. If
I
even
am
that.
a blue collared man. I lift
I'm
heavy.
not, but I'm in the same. But I'm in the same boat as a. I want to be a
I
writer. I don't think that's blue collar, but hey,
Oh, speak on that. That's interesting. Speak on that. Writing
yeah,
something I like to do too.
that's true. You do write. You're published. I'm not, but I do write things on my blog on Medium. I'd had it if I knew how to put it in the chat. I'll do that. So maybe in the future I'll figure it out and put it in the chat as a link. But I write a lot about wrestling right now because that's the big thing I'm into right now. I kind of come in ebbs and flows because for me, I get passionate about things and obsessive about things, but not people, but like hobbies and stuff like that. So like right now, the big thing is wrestling because all the people I was interested in talking about manga and that type of stuff with died or they're all gone. So like I don't got any of that no more. So I was like, all
And
right, jump to the next big.
the remnants are idiots.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll go to that next best thing. So this is the thing I'm into. So yeah, I write about that. I write about, like I said, movies too. Write about fantasy novels here and there because that's my favorite genre. Eventually, I will branch out nonfiction and some of that other stuff. But I just had to read more. Period. So I had to start somewhere. I start with my favorite genre, and then yeah. So you'll see things from other there. And then eventually, what I hope to do is when I'm feeling vulnerable enough and got the words for it, write about stuff in my life or more personal topics. So that's what I hope to get to a point eventually.
It's not easy. It's not easy putting your personal stuff out there because even on my little blog, every once in a while, on my the Weebly one that I have, I might say something a little
Mm.
personal, and I always feel like I just like took my clothes off in public, like
No, but
So
for real, you kind of do because like you never know people, and then it's a little worse if people react to that and they say something crazy. You're like, hey, yo, y'all are wilding. Like, put a busting myself out there.
yeah, but it is interesting you say that because it is a deep passion that I have, like writing and storytelling, narratives, and all those things. Whether you're playing something, watching something, or reading something, like all forms, or even if some weird mixture of both. Because I've seen some theaters where apparently they try to give like a 4 or 5D experience. So like it'll like if it's raining, they'll like sprinkle mist. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Or some crazy's happening, like your seat will shake with it, and like I don't know. So like they do some weird stuff.
Oh
So
yeah, it kind of sounds like the 3D theater things where they used to do that. Or I used to go to a place called Moody Gardens, and for like a experience, they would have like if we watch like an animal movie, one of the little animals would like shoot at the screen, and they throw some actual water at you or something, or come from above, and you'd be like, "Hey, yo, like that's wild."
yeah.
Like, so I kind of have experience somewhat with that, but I don't think I've ever heard that for that particular thing.
No, I'm a peasant. I go to the cheapest theater in my thing where the chair doesn't even recline like that. Like $5 for the
Oh
movie.
Lord.
So they said you don't let's post links. I think with time, if we get like partnered with like I don't know what they call it here and stuff, things should change. I don't even know how to mod people. I'm trying to figure it out. View.
Yeah, this when we say this is our first time doing this, we like being legit. Like
Like we
we ain't
literally
never
made
touched
this,
that before.
and then they're like, "All right, how do we stream?" So again,
Yeah, so
I'm a talk with the people that know, and things will be better for the time being. But yeah, like what I've always wanted to be able to do is create a publishing company like Image Comics. That's something that I wasn't passionate about, but like it's somewhat extended to just being an independent publisher. Like if you come to me and you want to make like an independent game and stuff, and you pitch it, like I think that'd be something that's really cool that I'd be into doing because I'm not a lover of mainstream stuff, and it isn't like me trying to toot my own horn. It's just that I feel like I've maybe not aged out of it, but the direction that they're going isn't in line with the things that I care about and like. So I just kind of don't engage that often. I tend to I say it started in probably 2014, 2015 when I really started getting to independent comics. So Image, Boom Studios, Valiant, stuff like that. And then I started reading imprints like Vertigo of DC and things of Marvel and going like another route. And then like I would say Undertale was the game. Like Undertale was the indie game that I'm like, I paid $5 for this and I had such a blast. And I replayed it 3 times. And I'm like, I'm broke. So this might be the new wave. And then that's when I became more of a person that like I'll take 30 hours. It's crazy. I'll take 30 minutes to find like, oh, what's this random show from China I've never heard of and like watch it and have a great time. So I've always been trying to something like that. I come from the Royal Empire. Yeah, what's up? What's up, East? Trying to get a loan is one of the most stressful processes in the world. Jesus, you put me onto comic knowledge, independent comics, etc. Yes, I feel it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How you doing,
Wait,
brother
did he tell you
East?
about a loan and comics at the same time? That's kind of
Uh,
wild.
I guess he commented on what I said, but the first
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
he said had to
he
do.
was typing at the same time. I just caught that and I was like, hey, yo, that's kind of a jump. He went from a loan to talking about comics, but
Mm,
hey, I feel it though. That's life. It's life,
yeah.
baby.
The
Getting that real
only loan
stuff.
I ever took was OSAP for school, but I paid that off already,
I,
even though
I
that's
have not
scary.
taken a single loan yet, or at least not for school.
Mhm. But
And
remember, I had a
I'm
partial
almost done.
scholarship. I
So
had a partial scholarship, right? So,
yeah,
um,
I went
and
to community college, so first, so before I
paid
transferred. So
about eleven
I
hundred
get it.
dollars, I believe, and then for games and road trips, we got like physical money. They'd be like, "Here's $200 for like food," and I'd be like, "I'll buy alcohol." you you know, I'm not. One thing I'm not gonna do on this podcast is lie about the things that I did and who I was. I used to drink too much, way too much. I'm not gonna act like I did it. Like I got that money and like, shoot, I'm about to throw a rager at my house and throw a party. So yeah, they say, why are you exposing you? I don't know. I say I have a car loan
Not
right
me.
now. That's about it. I feel it. I got no debt right now. No debt, no
Oh,
credit
I'm not.
card, no student loan.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying
I'm
like
not against it.
I am above water. Cause I'll never forget the first day I saw negative dollars in my bank account. That hurted. Like I have -8. So I have to get 8 to get to zero to get back to neutral. It's the craziest feeling in the world. Never forget when I got overdraft the first time in my life. I looked at my bank account, I saw -8. I said, huh? That's because I had an automatic payment that just took the money no matter what. I ended up taking it off and doing it manually. I do everything manually, but that was crazy, man. That was crazy. But yeah, I would love to make something like image comics, even for like gaming. I'm trying to get more passionate about gaming. Like I want to be a writer for a video game where I write the dialogue and the characters in the script. I think I'd have a great time doing that. And I had taken a class. Ooh, how long ago was this? That kind of taught you how to write for many things. So like, okay, if you're writing for a TV show with other people for like an episodic sitcom, how to work with other people and stuff like that. For a movie, for a play. If you can't draw, how it is that you were supposed to write things so that you give the artist who has to draw the panels enough creative freedom to express themselves artistically, but also be in line with what it is you're trying to like actually display on the page. So I did take a class like that. So I think it'd be interesting, but I can't code or nothing. Coding, making backgrounds, character drawing, I can't do that. But you need me with the pen? I got you. You need me with the paintbrush? I don't got you. You got me with the computer? I don't got you. I can't do it. I can't do it, blood. So yeah. So yeah. You see that you say I'm owe 2,500, feeling lazy to pay. I didn't know niggas really got loans for cars until recently. I thought they would save money. Being too lazy is crazy. Anyone that says they want to never will. I feel it. So, yeah. So so those are things that I've been thinking about too. But is there anything? Because we were speaking a little bit earlier, and we are talking about like um how like how discussions and conversations go online, and how disingenuous some people are because me and him have a lot of interest. Like the one thing that I'm very excited to do is show you guys how many things I'm interested in because it goes beyond just like anime and manga, like sports and other stuff too. So we'll also talk a lot of sports. Me and him, I would say we know like the same amount about basketball. You know more about American football. I know more about European football, aka soccer. So there's that. So that should be interesting. I do want to learn more about other sports and stuff. The one that I always laugh about is hockey because hockey's I'm like, all right, I'm gonna learn more about hockey, and I don't do it. But I'll watch a playoff game with no context and have a great time watching it, which is crazy. So
That's
I
me.
gotta.
That's me with football. I've been always talking about, oh, I need to learn more about football, aka soccer, and I just don't never put the time aside to do it. One day I definitely am. A little bit similar with baseball, but I think I understand the basics of it enough. I think maybe the sport that you and me both watch, but maybe we both not like super knowledgeable in, but we watch it. I think you played it, I think too, right? Was tennis? We both watch tennis,
Yeah.
so but I don't know everything about tennis. I have a good enough grasp though that I understand it and
Like
that
I
I,
know a
I
lot
like
of
tennis
the.
a
I
lot.
know a decent amount of history. I know like the star people. I know men and women's side. I know like no the rules to the game. That's also actually is a starting point. Like knowing the rules to the game. Though I learned most of that through Prince of Tennis and then fact checking. Because I'll do that. Baseball too, where I'm like, what is like the average batting average? What is the average batting average? Crazy. What's that? What's the typical batting average in baseball and stuff? I'm like, are these guys nice? Are they capping over here? It's like I'll look up stuff like that. So I feel like I can do character designs. I'm not doing full on panel by panel. I'm sorry. I want to do posters and art and graphics. I feel like professionally, I should say. You two are the most versatile people I know, interest wise. Yeah, I got a what do they say? I got a lot of eclectic interests. So that's why it's
Yeah, I
hard
think
to
I
not
think
speak
life
about
is
them.
so interesting, bro. Like there's yeah, just I don't know. There's just so many different ways to get into type of stuff, and it's just a matter of perspective. Like in some ways, I feel like you can enjoy things as much as you want to in a certain way. Everything's not gonna click with you, but if you find something to kind of like latch on to, because like even when it comes to sports, a lot of sports I like kind of like the psychology of it, the mental aspect of it more than the actual physical aspect of a lot of things that I watch. It's like there's so much that go into these things that people just think there's more than just kicking a ball around or whatever. It's like there's so much more of it that you can get out of it that people either choose to or choose not to. So
Yeah. And sometimes what interests me about different sports is the specific trials and tribulations of that sport. Like obviously everyone in sports, generally speaking, are gonna have to be fit and in good shape and stuff like that. But like you train different aspects more often than not. Like you could see somebody with a football physique, American football physique, basketball physique, swimming physique, runner's physique. Like they they're all in good shape, but they're shaped different. Like a football player, like them niggas look like Shannon Sharp. Like it's like they're built, but you might see a soccer player, they're more slender because they run so much and they lose a lot of calories. I'm not saying they're not solid. You can't be big. There's some exceptions. There's Hulk. There's what's the guy Adam Terrare? I don't remember his name. I don't know. I remember his name. He's like he just pure muscle. It just like he's in the wrong sport. But yeah, I and like yips and things like that because I went through that too to some degree. Actually, funny enough, I talked about this about Pat yesterday because like talking about like lingering injuries because we're talking about Paul George, right? And I say a lot of times I think Paul George has a lane to drive, but he'll pull up, and I think he's tentative because of what happened to him earlier in his career because he got injured badly, right? And I'm like, I remember when I had a partial tear in my left ankle way back in the eighth grade. It took me about 6 years to actually start standing normally. I used to constantly lean to the right and never put pressure on my left foot. I noticed it about 3 years or 2 years in, but it took a long time for me to be okay. Like I constantly protected my left foot and I'd injure my right leg more often because I was compensating for that. So it is interesting to see those things in sports psychology. I think sports psychology is very interesting. I was listening to Michael Jordan speak a little bit the other day too about with him and Steph and talking about his competitive nature that it never left even after we finished the sport. And like with golf and stuff like that, that's how he keeps the fire going. Like he needs to compete. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy to think about. So yeah.
for me, it's I don't have any like level when it comes to the traditional sports. My only thing that I've actually done for sports is basically combat sports. I did karate and taekwondo and a little bit of jujitsu for like 5 to like 15, and that's what I did for the most part. And I competed all the way around Texas. One day I'll bring the picture in here of me and my youth, where it's like they literally put me on a poster because I won an award
Hey.
for being the best like 14, 15-year old in the state of Texas. And then so yeah, my only thing is I have like just the combat stuff experience. That's all. I didn't play any other sport because I'm not that tall, so I never thought, and I wasn't that. I got into sports late. I didn't get into sports. Till I was like basically like 12 where I really got into it. It just clicked one day for me. Like I watched it casually, but I was just
Mhm,
kind of like, I'd rather play Kingdom Hearts or something. And then one day I was just watching it and I don't know what happened and it just clicked. Something just clicked and I got like really into it. And then all of a sudden I would be like spending all day looking at stats and reading stuff on Bleacher Report because Bleacher Report is like the really, really big online thing
mhm.
where I used to spend a lot of time for all sorts of things.
I
And
used to
now
be a
not
Bleacher
as
Report
much.
merchant. I remember those
Yeah,
days.
but it's like that was like the first thing, and then now it's branched out. There's a lot better sites, a lot more stuff to use. But like, yeah, you spend a lot of time just like looking at articles and stat updates and all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of how I got into a lot of stuff that I did.
I think a lot of people would think that that 12 is late, but actually it is late to start, like, especially if you're gonna focus on a initial sport. A lot of kids are playing these stuff from a young age. Because I started playing soccer from 4. Like, I was 4 years old when I started. My mom did want to keep me out of trouble, and funny enough, she didn't want me to play American football or basketball because she's like, these are nigga sports, basically. So my mom is hilarious. She's basically on some like, oh, I don't want to. You no, no, and she thinks football players are dumb. So like America, like NFL. So she wasn't with it. She wasn't with it. So she put me in like swimming. I did hardball, track and field, and the track and field club that I ran for was so hilarious because it's IB Fast. Like, why did you
Oh,
guys name it IB Fast? It was so
yeah,
funny.
that's a weird name.
Yeah. So, any sport you guys wish you would have stayed with or wish you had tried playing? Um, that's a good question. I could say
Oh,
the
you want me to
sport.
go or you got it?
No,
Okay,
go
you
ahead.
got
Go
it.
ahead.
Yeah.
If you have an answer, go ahead. I'm kind of thinking through it.
Okay. That's it. For me. This is easy because I think about it all the time. I didn't have access to it. This is kind of why it will eventually touch on different topic, allowing children or young teenagers to have access to different things. If I would have known that like regular wrestling was a sport like a easily acceptable one, because honestly, when I saw wrestling, like not professional wrestling, not WWE, like actual Greco-Roman style wrestling stuff like that, or just like what Kurt Angle does, the actual Olympian stuff like that with wrestling, I think I would have tried to do that. I think I actually would have been like super interested in stuff, and that could have been like kind of like a pathway for me to like get into more working out and to like gyms and stuff like that too, because I am not a workout guy. I don't work out. Well, I'm trying now. I'm attempting now. I'm on like week like 2 or 3 of me actually trying to build myself up to do something. But before then, I just had no interest. Also, health problems too didn't help. But like, I think if I would have actually had something like wrestling, I think I would have actually tried to do that because there's weight classes. It's something that ties to experience that I already had, and it just looked like a lot more fun for me to do. But there was no access to that in the school I went to, so couldn't get into it.
I feel that. I've always been like I'll start with this. The sport I missed the most doing was track. I quit track in the 10th grade the first time I lost a race. I literally had the fragile genius moment. I lost the race and I quit. I quit. I'm like, I'm a football player. I'm not.
Damn, they said that boy done. He never coming back. It's
Never,
finished.
never forget that, bro. I
That's
don't
rough,
lose.
buddy.
I don't lose races. I've never been this. I've always been the fastest person on the football field, pitch. But long story short, I came dead second. Like, it's hard to explain to people, but like, it's easy. It's basically, imagine this is the group of like 5 to 6 people here. I'm here, but the guy who's in first is over there. He's off screen. He hooked me, but I hooked them, and my pride said no. I quit cold turkey.
I was never
So
fast. I had stamina. I had a lot of stamina, so I probably could have did long distance. I actually was the cross country manager. Excuse me, can't talk. I was the cross country manager for like 2 years. That was cool, but no.
yeah, but I'll say snowboarding. It's not that I don't do it occasionally. I go like once, maybe once in the winter, but like I actually do want to snowboard. I wish I snowboarded a lot more. Because the first time I did it in the 10th grade, I fell in love with it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get like snowboarding gear and do it more often, and maybe try to like get better at it. And then I saw how expensive it was, and I said, never mind. Especially in the 10th grade, I saw snowboards for like $1,000 each. Then you need to get the cufflinks. Then you're gonna get the boots, and I said, wow. Now, obviously, in the long run, it's better because when you go to slopes, you don't have to pay for their equipment. You just pay for the land. So, I didn't think long term like that in the 10th grade. I just saw way too much money that I didn't have, and I left. I left the sports store and never looked back. Well, it
Man,
might
you could
not
have been
be
next Shaun White. Who knows?
because it's like the one extreme sport. I mean, I'm not afraid to fall, so I can do it. I can't skateboard. I'm scared of falling. I'm not. I could like scooter and rollerblade when I'm just going to go forward and go backwards and stop. I'm not doing anything. I'm not grinding on rails. I'm not doing 360s. I'm just going from point A to point B. Nothing fancy. But snowboarding, even the first time I did it, because I basically stole my friend's sticker that lets you go on the harder ones and like the little moguls and stuff and like the half pipe and everything. I tried all of that. I'm like, how do they even get up there? Like, I never forget the first jump I did. Like, I went off the jump and I'm like, yo, the board's heavy. And I just gave up in the air and dropped, bro. I said, half the board is so heavy in the air.
I don't think I got the coordination to do stuff like that. Like it's interesting. I always found it interesting. Like skater culture and like snowboarding culture has always been kind of a weird thing. It's very interesting. It kind of comes and goes, but like anytime you see it, it feels like we're all interested.
Yeah, I feel it.
But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And I was cooking Akashi. Yeah, I got it cooking, bro. My sports interest mostly goes towards motorsports like F1 and stuff, but so the psychology of drivers and the teams, there's so much more than just a race. Honestly, been hearing more and more about like the things that they have to do and like I think you have to be able to withstand different levels of pressure as a racer or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but like I thought you just drove. Like I won't lie, I was one of those people. If there's one sport I didn't respect, it was like race car driving or whatever, NASCAR and everything. I'm like, you just drive. Don't crash, don't die. I mean, it's dangerous. It's not saying it wasn't entertaining or nothing. Not my thing, but I didn't realize G-force. That's what it was. Yeah, you have to be able to withstand like G-force and stuff like that. So yeah. Um, did wrestling for a year to get in shape for soccer, and man, it was tough. Definitely a sport you need to start early and get experience. One thing that I noticed with a lot of people who did like wrestling and martial arts and stuff, I actually find that all the people who do martial arts are calm people. I don't know if it's the mantras and the lessons and the philosophies they instill in you guys
Yeah,
about
it's
not
kind
using
of
it.
built into it. You kind of have to be because they're always telling you not to use it for your own personal experience. Also, just like you get humble fast. Any like you kind of said, like sometimes with other sports, for the most part, not to say you can't be this in martial arts, but it always feels like in other sports you can have a very natural like place where you start where you're above everybody, and that can last like a very long time. And sometimes, depending on how good you are, you can last your whole entire life, or at least upper echelon.
Mhm.
In martial arts, it feels like you get humbled very quickly, no matter which one you do. There's especially if you start young, you're gonna get humbled very quickly. Somebody's gonna beat you up, or somebody's gonna just be better than you, and so
Mhm.
kind of forces you to approach it a little bit different way. At least in my opinion, that's kind of what I think. And so yeah, I think that's kind of what it did for me. It's kind of like I'm just around a bunch of people and just like you kind of have to learn how to relax because like if you're trying to hurt people and stuff like that or just like really turn on, you're going to jail, buddy. Like it's even worse because martial arts stuff like that. So it's not
What
like
if you're
football where they're like, oh, use your anger to on
oh
the field. It's like we don't, or at least not that stuff that I did. It's like controlled power, controlled thing, but it's not as like impassioned, I guess.
mm. Chief once said, Vince, I heard you practice martial arts. Mind telling us what you practice? You did speak about it a little bit earlier, but repeat it for him.
Yeah, I did karate and I did taekwondo. So taekwondo is Korean. It's mostly foot based with your feet, a lot more kicks, and karate is a lot more with your hands, a lot more like how do I say this? Like it's a lot more like building up your base for like your stance and stuff like that. Like there's certain stance that I had to do that I would sit in for a very long time. It's like, don't move. You got to sit in there. And it's like, I'm like, your legs literally on fire. And they're like, you better not like move or don't fall and stuff like that. And like, funny enough, both my instructors were black, which I don't know how common that is. I kind of realized how uncommon it was like the older I got.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, both my instructors were black guys. And they kind of had a halfway pivot that wasn't quite MMA, but it was like kind of on the cusp of that because we focus more on like one of their favorite things. to say to me would be like, oh, because I'm a big like crier. Like I'm somebody who like my emotions are on my sleeve. If I'm upset, I got like angry tears, like and stuff like that.
I
Especially when
see.
I was younger. It's
Yeah, I used
like
to
it's
angry
better
cry a
now, but
lot when I was younger.
yeah.
A lot.
But it was like so yeah, it's like I'm crying and stuff like that. But not because like I'm like legitimately like hurt or sad, but because just like irritated and pissed off. So I would have that, and they'd be like, "Well, nobody's gonna come help you when you're on the playground." That was their favorite thing to say to me. It's like nobody's gonna come help you because like you get beat up or like, nobody's gonna come help you. So you got to be tough. You got tough enough. So you better just cry and swing and stuff like that. So I would do a lot of that, and so because they wouldn't allow me, and then like some of my tests, for example, when I'm going up for certain belts, blue belt, purple belt, stuff like that. And some of my exams, they're sending 2 or 3 people at me at the same time. And they're just like, we're literally simulating a jumping. Like I'm literally, and they're like, and it's literally just because they don't expect you to win. It's literally just to like test your toughness and test if you're gonna quit. Because like, are you gonna just stand there and let yourself get hit in the head and just keep getting hit, or are you gonna fight back? Because if you're on the street and ain't nobody come help you, you're gonna have to fight no matter how tired you are, no matter how beat up you are. And if you're fighting multiple people, nobody expects you to win. But like that could be the difference between you not going home that day or whatever. Or they might look at you and being like, oh well, he's crazy or he's not gonna stop fighting. So that's some of the stuff that they would put me through. Of course, all the other stuff, some of the flashy stuff you see, like breaking boards and some of the other stuff. But when it comes to stuff like that, those boards are kind of made easily for you to break, honestly, in a lot of ways, or at least to a certain extent. Now, there are some ones, depending on who you do, they'll give you real wooden ones, but a lot of those are like purposely made for you to break. I did, however, have to break a brick one time. It was an old brick, but I did have to break one. That was kind of a nutty experience. I don't know how I did. I eventually got through it. That was kind of crazy. Not with my hand though. I do not have enough arm strength for that. I had to do it with my foot. So somehow I did it,
Okay,
but you know.
that's crazy. You said the G forces, your internals get pulled to one side when you pull those levels of G's. G's, yeah. I heard. I just know it's dangerous. You need to train something, but I don't. I don't drive. Well, I drive, but I don't drive like that. But yeah, like I'll just to circle back what we are saying. A lot of martial artists that I know, like what, like the strongest guy that I know, like I've seen him whoop somebody just with a one kick to the neck, right? Like they're so calm and they
People
are
don't like getting kicked. People don't like getting kicked. Little offset. People don't like getting kicked, man. No, people are not used to that. People actually don't have really high, pain tolerance when it comes to fighting because everybody kind of expects gentleman agreement fighting, or maybe if they're a big dude, they pick you up. People don't like getting kicked, man. Like at all. It's funny. It's the funniest thing actually.
it's funny because I kick. So I'm not even saying I'm a fighter, but like I don't just throw punches, I'll kick. So yeah. With a Brazilian kick, I don't effing know. He's around my height. He's not much shorter than me. The guy was bigger than him. His leg went up, hit that man here, and that man went down. He just kept going in the same direction because he was talking shit, he's talking too much. He's being stupid. He's belligerently being belligerent. I think he was kind of drunk, and was like, "All right." He's like, "All right, man." Like like I think the martial arts with the instilling a lot of martial artists, I see it. Most of them, they're all very peaceful and calm people. They will put you down if you get out of line or put you down, pin you down or something, but they will like when he put me in a lock, I couldn't get out, and I am stronger than him, but I don't have the technique. So I'm just like, I don't know how to get out of this, bro. Like, I'd probably like try to jump in the air and like land on you or some bullshit if I was in the real life. I don't know what I would do. I can't get out of that. So there's a lot of good lessons come with that. What you said about having a black instructor reminded me of a video of another martial arts black instructor who was talking to a young black boy who was crying out of frustration for not being able to break the brick or the wood plank. And I liked how we talked him through it. And he told him like, no, it's okay, let it out. There's nothing wrong with it. Let that out. Blah blah whatever whatever whatever. But don't quit. Don't give up. Kind of thing. Whatever whatever. And then he did it again and he got through it. And he's like, see, like you could do it. Just believe in yourself like that. So that reminded me of that situation. So
I
keep
think
in.
I think my natural personality comes in conflict with martial arts in some ways, or at least the violent portion of it, because I don't think I'm naturally violent at all. In fact, I I try to avoid conflict. That doesn't mean I won't deal with it,
Mhm.
because there are certain things that you have to deal with, and I'm not running away from it if I got to deal with it. But it was kind of weird because for the longest time I had a natural clash with the like I don't really want to like punch people and kick people, and then it's like, well, I'm in this, so you have to. And so like you kind of do that, and then there's this other element of it for me too is that I really don't like, depending on what it is, because it's not everything. I really don't like being told that I'm not good at something or that somebody telling me that I stink.
Mm.
So that's like I actually do better with somebody else motivating me than self motivation. Because you telling me that I'm not good at it is kind of like, who do you think you are to tell me that I'm not good at something? So it kind of motivates me for that. That's why I kind of ended up pretty good at it because I don't like being told that I'm not good at something. So
I only took free karate lessons in the school near me. Like I did like 3, and then I had to pay for the rest, and never went back. So we did some shit like this, like a ki or something. I can't remember. We did some. I don't know. I forgot. I forgot. But it wasn't for me because it is funny you say that, right? Like it's not that I'm incapable of being angry or aggressive or whatever, but I'm not natural. I'm very laid back. I'm very composed, cool, calm, and collected, naturally and laid back, which is why I couldn't play something like American football. I just don't have the anger to just tackle you. It's not in me. I don't have that. That's why I played. That's why I played basketball. That's why I played soccer because when I get hit, the ref's gonna blow the whistle. I'm gonna look around and I want everyone to acknowledge that I got fouled and I want the ball back. Okay, I want the ball back. I want some free throws. I want a free kick. I want the inbound. Like I want the ball back. Like that's it's not just bitch. I'm like no. What? Now I'm angry, so I couldn't do it. I played football 1 year in the 6th grade. And did I ever tell you a story that I quit the first time I wanted to quit the first time I got tackled?
yeah, I'm pretty sure you told me because I've heard a lot of the
Mind
football
you,
slash soccer
it
story.
wasn't a game. It was practice. I mean, the first time I got tackled, I wanted to quit. My mom's like, I paid too much damn money for that. That's why I did not want to come back. And I was running back, right? So like sometimes I gotta go through like I'm like, bro, I'm tired of this
Oh,
shit.
that's the worst position for something like that. Yeah, because all they do is take punishment. You're a punishment junkie.
But then I became like a weird unorthodox one because I just run back and avoid shit because I was kind of shifty and fast enough and agile enough. But like I'm not trying to brute force my way in there. And back in the day, honestly, I wasn't as big as I am now. It's not that I was never not solid, but I didn't have an upper body strength like that. I had a bird chest that caved in, and then my arms were a lot skinnier, and my shoulders weren't as broad. I was a bottom heavy. I was because of football and running around and stuff, so I was more bottom heavy. Like I couldn't brute force my way through stuff. 'Cause a lot of times people were like, "Yo, you're strong." Like I couldn't body you there, and I'm like, "You're standing straight and trying to use your arm strength against me. I'm low. I'm using my entire body against your arm. I don't. You could be stronger than me. You're just not smarter than me. That's all. I'm not using strength. I'm using my brain. I'm low to the ground." Now I'm not comically low because I remember that one. I remember was it against the African guy in Kuroko? Like he was like, wait, like you're so low. Like you're so low. All I have to do is do a hook shot. Are you stopping that? You're too low to the ground. But anyways, yeah. So
Yeah, so people get a little crazy with their stances. You're like, okay, bro, like you're not gonna be able to move. You're not gonna be able to react if you get that low. You get kind of silly out here. So yeah,
mhm.
it's the funniest thing. Like when basketball players they slap their hand, they slap their
Slapping the
ground,
ground.
and they get really low. But it's like you're too low. Like now he's just blowing past you because you can't move your legs. So like it gets silly sometimes. Yeah, you proper technique. They always tell you for anything, any sport, they tell you the proper technique is gonna beat natural strength. And it's right. I didn't believe it till I was like doing hip tosses and stuff on people like 250, 260. I'm like, oh, like obviously I'm not like just lifting them over my head and like, I know, but it's like, oh, I can get you on the floor and now you're shocked and I'm shocked. So like now it's like, oh, like yeah, I can really throw you. So like yeah, it gets kind of crazy.
And sometimes it's like more of a momentum thing too, right? Like you're using the force of their momentum against them. So I've seen that a lot too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I still wonder about some of the stuff I learned. Obviously, I'm way out of practice because I don't get into fights. It. I don't know. I always feel like if you get into like something with me, like you're probably pretty like aggressive or crazy because I don't do anything. So, but there's certain knife defenses and gun defense things, and I wonder. I'm like, huh. I haven't done this in a while. I wonder if it actually work. I kind of want to simulate it with like some fake version of it to see if I can actually do it, but I'm not doing that no time
It
soon.
reminded me of that one guy who was always like this with his gloves on. He'll be like, stay on the outside. He's circling like, bro, that does not. I
See,
feel like
man, funny thing about him, I don't even think everything he teaches is bad. It's pretty bad for the most part. But some of this stuff, like you can just tell he's not gonna be able to move fast enough for it to ever even matter. Like I think some of this stuff is built in a realism, and you realize the older you get that everything you learn is not supposed to be usable. Some of that stuff is strictly for the technique and exercise and stamina portion of it. But yeah, a lot of stuff you're doing, you're like, bro, even if it did work, he don't look nearly fast enough doing any of that stuff. Or just like when you think about it, like if somebody's like holding a weapon to you, who is standing directly on you with like it in your face or on your body? Or like that doesn't happen too often. I'm not saying it never happens, but a lot of times it's like they standing 5 feet away from you or whatever because they don't need to be near you. What are you gonna do then? You're cooked.
yeah.
So that's why I always tell you that the greatest thing I like about mine is how I knew it was legitimate, or at least for me, especially when I started getting older. They always tell you the first thing you should do, if you can, either give them your stuff or run away. It's always the first thing they told me. Because if you're being realistic about it, you don't really want to try to deal with some of the stuff you got to deal with. Like, there's no guarantee you're walking away. Better just to give them the stuff and, you know, you do stuff when you have to, not because you just want to be like, now I'm gonna just beat this guy ass. Like nothing you can do, brother.
Now I want to get jumped in the club. Like, no, you don't want to ever have
Yeah,
to want
you
to use those things that you're learning. I feel that.
yeah, you are wilding. So like, yeah, so nah. So
The only
I
thing
always
I
I
can
was
say
fucking
is
about
if
that.
you pull a knife on me, I'm not scared. You're not John Wick. You're not gonna take the knife and fucking like all right, man. Like I'll just run. I'm faster than you, and I'm confident I'm in better shape than you. I can run longer, so I'll just cut. But yeah, gunpoint. I don't know what to do. Just I got nothing to
No,
take.
yeah,
I got nothing to
just
take
leave
but
it alone.
here.
Yeah,
Just
knife stuff is always weird because yeah, it always feels like most people who do it, they have no clue what they're doing with it, and a lot of times they're probably even more afraid than you are. And a lot of times I feel like when somebody does get, unless they're purposely like just coming at you with like passionate, crime of passion or something, or just they're just insane. A lot of stuff it feels like to me it kind of happens on accident. They freak out and they end up stabbing you on accident or something. It doesn't. They don't know what they're doing, bro. They just trying to come up on some quick cash or something.
yeah. But all right, let's let's give the reaction thing a whirl. We're gonna have to. It's gonna be a little ghetto for today. We'll do it in a way that we could both be on screen. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna have to talk to Townsy, but we'll do it this way for now. I'm gonna find a video. We might go in the
Yeah, we don't
black
have to be
mode.
on screen the first time.
Yeah,
I guess you could just show the video and then it come back to us. It's all the same to me, but yeah, eventually at some point maybe we'll figure it out.
yeah. So let me just find it real quick, and then we'll talk about it. But this dude goes off. I'll try to add as much context as I have, but I don't have much. If some people in my earlier stream today were telling me more about it, so you guys can do that if you want. Just kind of let us know because I don't be knowing. But all right, I'm gonna switch gears here for a second and go to. So we're gonna watch this, and then we're gonna react to it. Center it for a second. So I don't know who this guy. What was his name? I don't know if this is heel versus babyface. So, what, you think he likes wrestling? Um, yeah, so he goes on a rant. So I do not play Starfield. I don't know anything about Starfield, so I don't have any context about the game itself, and I don't know who this person is, and I don't know how popular they are, what they usually do, and what their takes usually are. All I'm commenting on, or we're commenting on, is this 2 minute and 37 second clip. So I'm gonna let it play.
To you, Bethesda. Just want to say a little something. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off. Fuck that. Bethesda. There is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose myself. Think, oh my god, just think of this world. Just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity
I
so
forgot he
you
just goes
can
off.
fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because
Welcome,
we're
Lost.
boring! We're so fucking boring! We can't see past our own fucking reflection! That's the level of our narcissism here at Bethesda Western Game Company. Fuck your immersion. Fuck you having a good time. Fuck you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, no, no. Current fucking day.
You already said that.
Fuck off. You're boring. You're fucking dull. You have nothing to say. You are a one-hived mind twat waffle. That's all you fucking are. And you wonder why people are getting so fucking sick and tired. You take everything we love, all our immersions, all our fantasies, all our escapism, and you just can't help shovel your dog shit, fucking crap ideology into everything, every single solitary fucking thing.
And then he boosts the game back up. I don't remember if he says anything else. I think yeah. Then he boosts the game back up. Okay. Let's go back to us. Let me just stretch it a bit. So yeah, we watch. I put that in the group chat a little earlier. We spoke about it a little bit. Um, do you want me to? Did you want to start us off?
No, you can start. You can start.
Okay. Calling someone a twat waffle is crazy. It's freaking from oh, he's from New Zealand. Oh wow, I thought he was from well, I don't know geography. Let me not pretend that I do. I don't know. I'm Zora. I'd be lost. Okay, so one thing that I've started to do a lot this year because I'm judge. I don't necessarily have to showcase it, but I judge. I discriminate. Like I'm just like, oh, what an idiot, what a dumbass, and I kind of just keep it pushing. But for the first time, I'm like, I want to start to understand people's perspectives more and a little bit better. So the goal this year, a lot of times, is when I'm seeing some random opinion from somebody that I don't know any I try to get a better understanding of their life. So I'll use the example that I told you earlier today. With my friend, she likes this new channel called Mostly Peaceful Latinas. And I was watching the introductory episode, and they were talking about a little bit about why they like America as a country and think America is like the greatest place on earth. And a lot of times when I'm looking at like social media, Americans speak about America, legacy media, they're not into it. They're like, this is stupid, this is dumb, this country sucks, blah blah yada yada. And I think one's from Colombia, one's from Cuba. I don't know if that's like interchangeable. I don't know geography. I apologize if that's like close to the same place, but they're like
No,
legit.
they're wildly different.
Okay, okay,
We can
okay,
keep going.
okay. So basically, they were speaking about like the immigrant experience. They're a little older than us. I think they're in their later 30s, like more towards their 40s. And she was speaking about like her grandma and when communism came to Cuba and stuff like that. And her grandma went to jail because she was like smuggling guns to help like the grandfather fight against like the rebels or whatever that were coming into their country, and they have a greater appreciation for America because they came over from hardship and took advantage of every opportunity, and now they have like a good life in terms of like they make money, they're fulfilled. One of them's married with a family. I think she has a kid, so like they were able to have the like white picket fence, American dream kind of thing. So I've been trying to do that more often in general. So there's a huge culture war going on. Obviously, you know this with the left and the right, which I think they're all babies on both sides of the fence. It's effing annoying. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm independent. I don't lean in either direction. I'm not a socialist, not a Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, anarchist, libertarian, whatever. I don't subscribe to any of it because I think both sides are an echo chamber in their own way. And conservatives and liberals or whatever, left and right leaning people. I'm not a moderate either. Like they all just say stuff like this is ridiculous. So I've been looking more into the culture war and listening to people speak about this is woke, woke, and I'm like, this you just didn't like. You could just say I didn't like this. You don't have to call it woke. But one thing I will say is a lot of these content creators have to speak to their constituents. They're not actually making a point. They're talking through and around people to their fan base or to people who already hold the same opinions as them. So what I'm starting to understand is a lot of people are very fed up with video games, shows, movies, and whatnot, and comic books and things, adding what they call wokeness. Wokeness meaning like pandering, I guess generally speaking, left leaning pandering. So that's gender ideology, LGBT stuff. I guess they don't like pronouns, this and that and the other. And one thing that I heard a lot was like, I deal with this bullshit naturally when I go to work, when I'm in the workplace, when I'm at school, or whatever the case is. And when I fire a game up, I'm trying to escape. I don't want to deal with politics and things of that nature. And then I don't know, they play a game and like he said, fucking pronouns, current, and they're fed up of it. They just want to play a game that's good, that they don't feel like they're trying to like pander to some group or appease some group, and they're a little bit annoyed by it, miffed by it. So I don't know if it's just a pronoun thing. Again, I don't have all the context here. I don't know if there's more things in the game that's annoying him, or if he's having a bad day. But my understanding is they just want to consume things that aren't like constantly telling them that they're bad. Like last thing I'll say, a lot of men are tired of seeing like, oh, the men in all the shows are all stupid and dumb and lazy and fat and useless and they can't do anything and toxic masculinity. So it's just stuff like that. So this is not my viewpoint. I'm speaking on behalf of them because I'm starting to understand it more. I will second that, but I'll leave it at there for now. If you wanted to go.
Okay. All right. So I technically don't classify as anything, or I wouldn't say that my focus is on enough stuff that I can say I classify for any one or two political ideology. I know the things that I do care about and the things I do tend to speak more about are things, and it's definitely not stuff like this. But since we're talking about it, you gotta speak on it. Okay, so for me, a couple of things. So
I see me.
I don't, I don't, I just don't understand people like this unless you're telling me like you were talking about earlier, you have a fan base, and I'm not saying as a good thing because I don't agree with this whatsoever, but I'm just like, as far as like an understanding standpoint, I don't understand for instance, unless you're speaking to your people, unless you're a grifter and you're doing this for money reasons or something of that nature. I don't get this. This to me is a waste of time. This is a minor inconvenience. If the game is asking you to pick now a third gender and it's just asking you male, female, they, them, why is this a big deal? And you play Pokemon when you're 4, 5, 6 years old. Most of you, or a lot of people do. Pokemon asks you want to be a boy, you want to be a girl. Sometimes I pick a girl just cause. I was like, I don't feel like playing as a boy. I like the girl design better. That's it. Has nothing to do with me being like, well, actually, I feel like inside I'm actually a girl. Like to me, this is not big of a deal. This is just assigning something to something because you don't like it. It's a minor inconvenience at best. Now, if there's other parts of the game that do certain things and force you to get into a situation where you're they, them, that's a completely different story. Now, that could still be on you, but that's just a matter of difference at that point. I don't agree with it, but at least I can understand you. But to get this upset for 2 minutes about it asking you if you want to be male, female, or they, them, this is silly. What is he having his blood pressure up that high for? He don't look that young. Like this, like he just hurt himself. I know that hurt. They didn't have to feel good. And then the worst part about it that makes it make no sense to me is that if you're gonna go through all this, right? Why are you gonna fire the game back up? If it's such against your political ideology and such against you as a person and you hate it so much, cut the game off. Send it back to user. Send back to company, whatever, and call it a day. Cause I'm telling you, if I disagree with something that much that I have to do that, I'm not playing the game again. I'm telling you that right now. I might break it on screen. I might do one of those people. I might take it out, break it, and be like, I'm never playing that again.
For me, it's going back to EB. I want the credit. I want the credits. I'm not breaking it. I'm bringing it back to GameStop for EB. Simi said he has a really good debunk because he probably knows more about Starfield than we do because that's not a game that I play. So, well, I don't know if he's typing. Maybe he'll let us know. But no, the general point that I wanted to make that makes me laugh about stuff like this is we were speaking about it a little earlier. I just think gamers are babies. They are always crying about something. They never stop crying. They're always whining. Nerf this, patch this, buff this. Always something they're whining about. It's actually why I've never liked being associated and being called a gamer. I'm like, yo, it's not that I don't whine and complain about stuff, but I'm a much of a vote with my wallet kind of guy. Pokemon, we use the same example you were using. As the years went on, it just lost its luster to me. I just don't buy it. That simple. I'm not complaining about Dexit. I'm not complaining about you didn't add all these Pokemon. And like you guys are complaining about everything you're seeing, but you're gonna buy the game. So shut the fuck up. Me, it's just simple. I saw Scarlet and Violet. That shit was running at 2 frames per second. Ew, not buying it, and I moved on. Done. Point. Period. Blank. There's nothing else to be said. Like that niggas was moving at 2 frames a second. Another thing that makes me laugh is here's the thing. I think the better storytellers, at the very least, what they'll do is they might present two different ideologies or philosophical, sides of a coin, and present it in a way that you come to your own conclusion based on who you are, your life experience, how you're socialized, X, Y, and Z. But to act like this stuff doesn't permeate everything that we read, watch, and play makes me laugh. I'll give you my favorite example. I'm so tired of all this bullshit, fucking shit in my comic books. And I'm like, you like X-Men. What the fuck do you think the X-Men are an allegory for? Discrimination what? They're a different race. Like it's been there. It's been there. That's why I laugh when I see this. 'Cause I'm like, it's been there. Now, do I understand to some degree? Yes, I know for some people it annoys them a lot. Where somewhere there should be an American flag, it's an LGBT flag. I don't even register that shit half the time. I'll give you another example. Across the Spider Verse, they found the smallest trans flag in the little BLM pin that Miles had and lost their minds. And I'm like, come on. At the very least, right? With Miles being an inner city New York black kid who's a teenager, he's gonna support BLM. Like he's a 15-year-old. Like he's black. He's a mixed heritage. He's Afro Latino, I think is the right term. Afro Hispanic.
It was Gwen. It was Gwen too.
But yeah,
Same thing.
Gwen had it in her room, and Gwen is also a teenage girl who's probably like socialized a certain way. Like it just like I even thought that made sense, like just story structural wise. But I did not notice this. How did you find that? You're like at this point to me, you're looking for it. You're looking for it. You're looking for something to complain about. Because there's a very popular YouTuber. His name's a Critical Drinker, and I like when he's analyzing certain movies. I like him, but when he was talking about Peter B. Parker, he's like, they emasculated him. He's wearing pink. He's in a robe. I'm just like, I can't be in a pink robe with my kid fighting crime. Like, what are you complaining about? Like, it just makes me laugh because like you don't have to go so far. And again, my issue with this dude was that like I'd argue he didn't explain anything. It was just a frustrated outburst. Current thing, pronouns. I want to be immersed, but no, current thing ideology. Would you argue he articulated himself well?
No, it was just like I said, and that's what
What's the
makes me think it's like this was for views or something. And apparently
Performance?
people say this is a popular guy. It's just like, what is the point of it? Is this like a regular thing? Is this something he do all the time, or just like that? And again, like you said, this is not going away. Now, like for at least for me, at my standpoint, you can like it or dislike it, but let's just be honest, it ain't going away. So that's number one. Now, I always say if you want to have a legitimate gripe or complaint, you could say, can they include these things in these stories in a more interesting and compelling way? That is the better question for me. Can these things can we not just hammer fist them in or meta joke it or just do it in the most boring ways to appeal and pander to people? That's my bigger problem. But stop acting like they think that exist. Like some of them, it's just obvious. You just you're just complaining to complain. Like you said, there's no rhyme or reason. If there's stuff going on later in the game, me and you don't know about. So that's, again, we're not speaking on this thing. We're not playing this game, and who knows if we ever will. But based off of this 2-minute clip, what is he complaining about? Because he had to pick a dialogue option that takes 2 seconds. Why did he even focus on that so much? I wouldn't. And this is why people come the exact other way and just be like, oh, well, y'all just like things that don't look like y'all. This is why people feel the other strong way about it too. Because it's just like when you have that type of reaction to something that doesn't matter that much, what are we doing? There are better examples that you can say that a group is pandering or something of that nature. And I might not even agree with it, but there are way better examples than a 2-second dialogue option. That was pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic in a lot of ways for him to react like that.
I agree.
It's crazy. But like you said, maybe he had a bad day or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's mad at his girlfriend or something. My only take is I don't give a fuck about Starfield, and I don't have faith in those burgers at Bethesda. If I want to play real space adventure exploration, I'm a fire up No Man's Sky. Simple. Wow, that's in my long ass comments. So Simi, TLDR, all fantasies based off reality. Witcher is literally Polish history. All fantasy as politics. Government conflict, race wars, economic problems. So what are we escaping from? Fiction is never allowed to have modern day isms, but Starfield is literally in the far future. So what's going on? Fair enough. I don't. Again, I couldn't tell you. I don't know what's up, Blizzard. Simi just cooked. One thing that will make me lose it, I like to do, is race swapping. I just can't stand that. What do you think about race swapping and gender flipping? Is it what? Are you like me? You just go case by case. Like, does it make sense? Case by case. Like,
Yeah. Now I
I
will
don't.
say I don't. Yeah, it kind of really is depending on what it is because, but for me, it's for a different reason. It's not, or not, maybe not from the person who comment. I'm not looking at the comment, but for me, the bigger thing is I just want more original characters than taking somebody that's already an established character and flipping them. And not even because it's always wrong. Like they talk about like the Little Mermaid thing. Technically, that doesn't matter because she's a mermaid. So her flipping from a white mermaid with red hair to a black mermaid, is it like the greatest thing ever? No, but at the same point, it's not hurting anybody. The mermaid's not real. Sometimes I feel like it's a case by case on if it's actually a part of the person's character or what they're going through. For example, Magneto, right? I think so go back to your X-Men thing. Magneto is Jewish. So if you changed him to another race or something like that, it would completely not work for his character. It'd be weird. It wouldn't work. Or just some more established thing. It's like I don't, not that it couldn't work for something like obviously the Irish thing like Iron Man or some of the stuff like that. But it's not because it couldn't work or even that it bothers me. But it's just because it just kind of feels kind of lazy. It just feels like we could make something more original, something better instead of piggybacking on something that already exists and trying to flip it into that type of thing. But it's different for everybody. There are some people who don't care about the thing, or some people who just want to look at people that look like them. And that's the thing, though. And that's the argument for other people on the other side is that they want things that look like them, that represent them, and other people just want that too. Now, like I said, again, the bigger argument to me is is it done in a compelling and interesting way? And sometimes those things get confused because some people think the people who like you and me who might argue or something like that are on the same team as the other people who are just doing that or have other more evil or thoughts, more sadistic or pessimistic thoughts when it comes to such stuff. I just want something that's good. I don't really care what it is. I watch stuff that's all the time that
You just
I
boiled down
will watch.
my simple opinion. Is it good?
Yeah, that's it. I don't care who's involved. I don't care the race, pronouns, any of that. I just want to know if it's good and if it handled good. Plus, this is a video game. Is the game good?
Yeah.
Why are we worried? Why are we worried about that? The first matter of business is this game good? I don't even know how you know. I don't even know where that is in the game. Because that's just in the beginning of the game. Like I said, again, just turn it off, brother. There's no point. Because you're obviously not going to enjoy anything else that happened.
Speak with your wallet, man. It's very simple. What's up, Flaxy? No more. But when character is created as black, they already stand for something inherently just because of how society is. Like Katan said, here's what I know about him, and I'll say these people review and make content on movies, TVs, which all are modernism filled. So they are more used to seeing that. That's his audience. They talk from that side of the culture war, so they're more sensitive and they're gonna notice it more. I just think that sometimes you're looking for it because I would argue that I am very culture war activated, But maybe because I'm not on either side of the fence, I don't just see something and immediately have a reaction. I'm thinking more on the lines of how does this connect to everything? Doesn't make sense. Like I said, Miles having a BLM pin at 15 in New York makes sense to me. I'm not whether or not I agree with the Black Lives Matter, not the sentence, the movement or the organization has nothing. There's no bearing on me. I'm like that makes sense. That's fine. I don't care. I didn't even see it. I didn't. Someone had to be looking for that in my opinion. So I hear you. Gender flipping is alright with me sometimes. I love Doctor Octavius in Spider Verse. I feel it. So here's what I'll say. Right. So for me, like you said, it's for me. It's mostly case by case. I think it's annoying. I think it's lazy. Me and you are totally aligned with just make something new. You want Chloe Bailey to star in a. It's her name's Chloe Bailey, right? Like get her name right. If you want her to
Yes.
star in
Or I
something,
think it was Haley. I think it was Haley. I think it was the
okay,
other one.
sorry.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No one knows that.
Create something new, or like, why don't we pull from African mythology, Jamaican mythology, and folklore, or something that's more, I don't know what her background is, Bayesian, Barbados, something, and then make that story. Because one of the arguments that I saw, not that I necessarily agreed with it, but I'm like, I guess if you're not being disingenuous, I understand this, is that the Little Mermaid I think it's an Amish like folklore tale. I don't know if there's black Amish people. I don't know. I don't
I
remember.
would have to actually. I mean, see, that's the thing. Is sometimes it's just a matter of perspective and research. I have no knowledge of that, so
Yeah,
I couldn't tell. Like sometimes it's obvious, like a Mulan or an Aladdin. You
yeah.
clearly know what that's about.
Or
But
maybe a
the
night
Little
story, A
Mermaid is a
Thousand Years
lot.
to Come
Yeah,
next. Yeah,
Little Mermaid is. I don't know what it's pulling from. Now you could say the mythology of a mermaid is pulled from one of those backgrounds,
mm.
but I can't say for the story itself. But that'd be interesting. That'd be something
Oh,
to look
Halle
into.
Bailey.
Sometimes
Sorry,
your knowledge.
sorry. Yeah.
Oh, Holly, see, I'm bad with names. Y'all gonna learn very quickly. I am not good with names. I'm going to butcher a lot of names, but we will get them right. And I don't mean any disrespect by any butchering anybody's name. I'm just bad with names.
Mm,
Good with remembering faces, bad with names. So,
yeah.
but yeah, like
I'll get emotes, guys. I promise. Don't worry.
nobody's looking at the Little Mermaid and thinking about the cultural significance because it's not presented that way. I'll even give another example. Oh crap. What's the Disney one with the what Merida? I don't remember what the story. Brave? I think it's Brave or
Okay.
whatever. She's
The red hair
Scottish.
girl. Yeah,
Oh yeah, Scottish. She's Scottish? Scottish, I think.
I think
She's
so.
Scottish. Yeah, I think Scottish. She's Scottish, so at least that makes sense too, because most Scottish people are inherently white. Now there are probably some that are black, but most of the time when you think of a Scottish person, you think of a white person, and it's
Yeah.
based in that culture of being Scottish. But the Little Mermaid, unless you know that type of stuff, unless you're a historian or you deep dive and do stuff like that, you're not looking at the mermaid and thinking like, oh well, the race of the mermaid matter. That's just your first initial look into it. And sometimes people don't take that too. You're applying something to what you're seeing as an adult to something that a little kid would be seeing for the first time. And sometimes that perspective matters. If a little kid for the first time, whether it be black, white, or whatever, if they're seeing that for the first time because they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they're looking at it and that's a black kid and the character is black, that's cool for them. That's really cool. But you're an adult. The first time you saw it 20 years ago, it was a white person, and now it's a black person. You're looking at it differently.
Your
Sometimes,
baseline point of view, starting point is different. I get you saying.
right, and sometimes for the right reasons, and sometimes for very nefarious reasons. That's a word I was looking for. Another different nefarious reasons. So it just, it depends. But that's sometimes you got to take that into account that you're not who this is for. They're not making this so you be grown and you go sit in a movie theater and you look at it.
Mhm.
Especially if just like if you're watching a Little Mermaid and people always want to be like, oh, well, they're pushing something. But if it's going through the exact same things as the Little Mermaid story, and the only thing that has changed is that the character happens to be black, or Starfield, if it's the exact same thing, if the story is the exact same and all you change with that the character refers to themselves as they, them, what's the problem? At least in my eye, that's how I see it. Now,
And
if
there's
you say
aliens
in
and
your
stuff
forces
too. I
like that,
guess it sounds like it's a futuristic sci-fi
right?
thing. So there's probably
Like
like
they said, it's a
blobs.
sci-fi. It's in the
You know.
future. It start like, are they going to force you into? Like I said, one of my questions: are they forcing you into relationships? Are they forcing you into a different storyline just because you got called this thing? It's just a very just minor thing to be complaining about. That makes no sense unless you got that big of a problem with it, and that's gonna make people look at you weird.
Mhm.
So just doing it to him, but he just looks silly to me.
They're saying the Twitch emotes are better off for him. My problem is that the remake was doo doo. I didn't watch it, so you changed so much about the original story. Go make your own story. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of just building your own table and building a good one so people will come instead of trying to like go eat at someone else's table. I would love to see some stories that are based more off like Jamaican folklore and stuff like that. That'd be really dope. I'll give you the most recent example I could think. Two examples I could think of that I really liked. Encanto, that was Encanto was really good. I watched that with my ex and like seeing like that culture and stuff. That was really dope. And like Moana. Moana was like Samoan and Polynesian like culture and things like that. And I'm like, oh, that was very refreshing and nice to see. And those guys went and did their research and like I think every actor in the film had some type of Polynesian Samoan blood in them or whatever. Like you can do these in ways that make sense. Like I'm not somebody maybe because I think maybe what you said makes sense because I didn't grow up necessarily seeing like if I want to see a bunch of black people, I have to go on BET and I never liked BET because it's coon television. I was never a coon. I was always allergic to coonery. I don't know why. It was like Medea and stuff like that. Never really moved me to that degree. I don't know what it is. I think partially it's my mom's influence. My mom never liked people like Martin Lawrence. Like he's so ignorant, something like that. And maybe that rubbed off on me. But what I could say is this: it is important to a lot of people. I tend to relate to characters who have a similar personality or view that I have in terms of the world or whatever. It's not based on immutable characteristics more often than not. There's times I'm like, oh, you black like me. All right, cool, I like it. Right, that happens. But more often than not, it's like I resonate with Superman. Superman's an alien. Obviously there's Calvin Harris, the black version that's the president of the United States. But like, I resonate with him because I think he's a good person, he's diplomatic, and that's somebody that I think is an ideal to live up to and be like. Because I think he's like the embodiment of a true hero. So I never cared like that. But will I not pretend that like it was a big deal for me? Well, first we'll talk about Black Panther. That was pretty cool, just in general, right? That was just pretty cool. Like that was pretty awesome. Some of us went a little crazy with our dashikis and our barbecues in the parking lot, but it was cool. But something that was so awesome for me was being able to take my dad to see that because my dad is in his in his mid 60s, right? So he grew up in a a little more turbulent era where all he saw was like white people and stuff like that. And Power Man, Luke Cage, and T'Challa, Black Panther were two heroes that he had a lot of love for. He also was a Spider-Man guy. He's the reason why I like Spider-Man, the reason why I like Star Wars. So he said, "Mama not liking Martin Luther King, unfortunate. Shows guard. No, she does not like him. She does not like him or Vegeta. She can't stand Vegeta. So like, what was I saying? Shit.
Your dad's love for Black Panther and
Yeah, so yeah,
superheroes.
taking
So
that
yeah.
was awesome, was an experience, and it was nice for him to like live long enough to see something like that happen on the big screen. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Then the Luke Cage show because he likes Power Man a bit more. Now, granted, me and him didn't end up liking the second season, and we got the first season fell apart, but it was still cool to bond with my dad over a black superhero that he's loved for so long. You know what I'm saying? So that was really cool. So I do think it matters in some ways, but I still think you have to pick the best people for the job. I don't think you should just get random people off the street because okay, you look like these characters. Come do it. Can they act? Or do they understand? I like I'm hearing more and more by watching the Smallville podcast with people who are like not bad actors, but they don't understand certain things, how they're supposed to stand in the light and certain spots they're supposed to be in, and they like mess that up. So like there's a lot more than just acting apparently. So yeah. But like I said, so your example with Octavius is a good example. So this is an example where Octavius doesn't bother me. I understand the concept of the multiverse very, very well. And the multiverse means that like a character that Bruce Wayne, has a million types of interpretations throughout the many worlds and parallel universes that happen. So there could be a version where Bruce Wayne is a woman, or I don't know, her name is Brenda Wayne, and that's Batwoman, but has the similar storyline of her parents being shot or something. Um, Superman being black in some universes, or there's universes where Kryptonians naturally have superpowers. It does not come from the sun, but they can't get any stronger or weaker. They have a baseline strength level of strength. They can't exceed that, right? So you're gonna see so many things in the multiverse. So if you're telling a multiversal story and you show me a Spider-Man and he's a fucking dinosaur, it's not gonna bother me because I know it's a multiverse. That makes sense. All I care about is if it's good and it makes sense. Don't pitch something to me telling me you have to watch this because there's this representation or that representation or made by these people necessarily. All I'm gonna do is cut through all that and be like, is it a good game, a good movie, a good book, a good show? That's ultimately all I care about. I don't care if it was made by, I don't care if six zebras made the story. The zebras was writing. The zebras was writing. I'm gonna be in there. Okay.
So okay, so here I wanted to piggyback off something you said earlier, kind of with like the characters that we relate to,
Mhm,
and I'm very similar as well. We both agree with that, which is
mhm,
far as just that like I wasn't paying attention to race, and maybe that is a product of because there wasn't a lot of black characters. So I'm not gonna act like maybe it didn't have an effect on me,
mhm,
but something that I focused on, at least for me, it just based off my personality and naturally being like this. Yes, I was either looking for characters that were like me, or I was looking for characters that had qualities or characteristics that I wanted to have myself. Like a lot of things I used to like, especially as a kid, I used to like a lot of like cool, calm, and collective characters because that's something I wanted to be. That was something I wanted to have better control over my emotions. I want to have better control over the
like
things I could
stoicism.
control. So yeah, so any character that was like they didn't say a lot of words and they handle any situation, or any character that was able to like manipulate or talk their way into a situation, and not the Naruto version, but like the like in a cool, more cool way for me, at least in my opinion. It was like more different way where they changed the tables. I liked characters like that, even if they didn't look like me. And I didn't put a lot of stock into characters that look like me,
Mhm,
at least growing up. But a lot of that is maybe because like my parents talked to me about certain stuff, but they weren't like super hands-on when it comes to that stuff. Everything that I learned to love myself was because I chose to love that. That wasn't people like telling me to like this or telling me to like that or influencing me really in any way. I
mhm.
chose pretty much everything that I did as far as like stuff like that. So, and then there was something else you said that I want to pick back off of. Oh, when it comes to some of that like BET and stuff like that, I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I will say I think kind of the nuanced way is that there are some things they did good, and then there are some things they did that created stereotypes or put the stereotypes even stronger that shouldn't have happened. That instead of there was a chance to take it to the next level and create some very interesting, compelling TV in more than one way. And because they started off well and created certain things, and then I think they fell into a thing where they just started wanting a certain type of viewer and a certain type of show and a certain type of thing. And it alienates certain people that are not into that or don't want to be created like that, and then they stop making compelling things that like because if you talk about like Tyler Perry, the first couple when he first comes out, you can kind of understand he's doing a lot of stuff to me that thing, but it's like he's telling stories that maybe about family, about religion. He's doing all these things, but then it becomes repetitive, and then it's becoming even more ignorant, I guess, in some way. And you're just like, this lost all appeal because now it just feel like you're just pumping these out, and you're not thinking of new creative ways to tell us things. You're not thinking of new. You keep running the same thing back. Why is the dark skinned guy a terrible person? He a bad father. He a piece of shit that nobody likes, and then he has this wife that he's abused all this time, and she leaves him for a guy who looks 10 times better than him or is light skinned or something like that. It just stuff like that. It just when you start to do stuff like that, people are gonna start to look at you funny.
Yeah.
Like that just and you can't blame them for stuff like that. Yeah, I'm always of the belief, and you are too, is that we're always looking for what is the author trying to tell me, or the director, the writer, whoever. And that is a bigger thing to me than anything else. I don't care what race the characters are, what their pronouns are, what their sexual orientation is. What is the characterization of this person? What is this trying to tell me? Was it good? Or
Did you
at least,
deliver?
or I can see, or yeah, at least, if nothing else, can I see where you were going with this?
Yeah.
Because also sometimes if you're gonna do the bad things about this group of people or something like that, but sometimes you gotta do the good and create that black and white. Like I'm not trying to go too long into it, but like The Wire, there's a reason why The Wire is so popular. It shows the good and the bad of everybody involved. The streets, middle class Americans, the police force, politicians, everybody. It tries its best to give you a balanced viewpoint of everything that happens. It's not telling you to pick one side or the other or trying to hold your hand and to believe in one thing. It's showing you everything, at least as best as it can.
And it wants you to decide based on your own personal viewpoints and life experiences instead of trying to ham fist you. This is the right thing to think. Yeah, I agree with that. You said the Guinness. Yeah. Yeah. I'm more caught up with Tocqueville. Man, Cottonmouth was great. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. He said coonery buffoonery. Bro, as a kid, I used to watch Transformers, and I want to be like Optimus, a freaking robot. Color and race don't matter. Good characters will rub on you. I agree with that. I think but I don't think I was raised to think that way. Probably, so that could be it, or it could be my personality naturally. But yeah, like I used to tell people like even if it's something like Kuroko's basketball, I was like, I relate to Morisaki Bara and Ayomine. Like you kind of fuse them together, and that's how I would be in that story. Like that's Japanese niggas. I'm not Japanese, so because Morisaki Bara has the thing where he gets mad, he plays well. I'm very much like that, and mad is different from irritated and frustrated. If I get irritated and frustrated, I don't play well. If you piss me off, I play well. I play well angry. But I don't. And then Ayomine doesn't practice like that. And I won't lie to you. I had years where like I show up to practice, but after that I wasn't doing any extra work. Practice was practice. Other than that, that's my time. I'm not doing it. So I kind of felt it. Plus, he was saucy with it. Like I'll be a little saucy with it. So Yomine's character like appealed to me. And a lot of these manga, these guys are Japanese. Like, and I'm like, yeah, this guy reminds me of myself a little bit, or like to be more like this character. So yeah, I feel that. And what you said earlier about like calm and collected characters, because we spoke about earlier, like I used to be like I'm not emotional and not sensitive. I have this much better emotional regulation because I'm an adult. I'm not 12. I can't have a temper tantrum every time something goes wrong. But that thing about angry tears we were talking about earlier, I was notorious for that, yo. Mad at my girlfriend, I'll just pout in a corner and I'm steaming and I'm mad. I'm not like bawling my eyes out, but I'm so mad that my eyes get watery and tears just drop. But like I want to be better with that. So there are some character like I don't even lie. Batman a little bit was like Batman just be like going through it and just be like fuck it, we going through it, and I could respect it. Just gotta push through. Life ain't easy. So yeah, but oh damn, there's one more thing I want to speak in conjunction with this because there was one more layer to this I thought we could tackle. We spoke about the gender swapping, the race swapping, and everything, but I think I lost it. It's not there anymore. It is what it is. Oh, do you at all followed a little bit of what was going on with what's her name? She's playing. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get better. I'll do my best that when we start doing this, I'll be better with celebrity names because I don't really follow these people and I'm very bad at it. But she's the actor that Rachel Zegler. She's the actor that's I was talking long enough so I can remember. She's playing Snow White. Have you seen any of that stuff? How people are complaining about
Yes,
how
I
she's so
heard.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I did hear. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it looks like some character issue. Not too much, but then I saw like I guess she made some videos or something talking about it, and I don't know if those were supposed to go out or not. And now the backlash coming out. Like the movie's not even out, right? But it's just like she's just making kind of herself kind of unlikable. It seems like before she even gets going. That's
Yeah.
what it looks like to me.
So one thing that sorry, Rachel Zegler, yep, internet's most hated person right now. I heard the movie got canned. I saw that in passing on Twitter, X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it. But I didn't like do any research to confirm whether or not it was like for real or not. So I don't know for a fact. But she put up basically from I'm trying to tell you what I remember. One video she was with Gal Gadot and they were talking about the movie and she was basically describing a movie that isn't Snow White. So a lot of people got upset. She was like, "Yeah, she's not trying to find love. She's gonna become like an independent boss babe and like there's no romance. Who cares?" And like, the guy who and I think she said the guy who plays Prince Charming. She's like, I don't know. His scenes might all get cut. That's Hollywood, baby. Weird, weird. And she's just doing stuff, and like everyone just got really, 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 really upset at her.
I will
Um,
say this. Sorry to cut you off. I will say this. Didn't she think it's a bad move to like kind of cut the legs out of your own movie before it dropped? Like I know it seems like she doesn't agree with it, which is fine and dandy. But babe, you did the movie already. Like, at least get the money. Like, if you gotta do it, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You
It's
couldn't
it's
wait to after and drop.
it's funny
Like,
you
it's
say
kind
that
of
because I
silly.
have a small skit to show you. After that's why I'm bringing it up. A small skit to show you. Yeah, she called Prince Charming a stalker. Said she only saw the movie once and it was years ago. She doesn't even really remember it. And like, it doesn't seem like it's the best PR for someone who's going to be playing Snow White kind of thing. And by the way, Gal Gadot was totally on board with what she was saying, and she's not getting any backlash. And and people were roasting her because um Rachel Zegler is I'm not listen. I don't. She's not my type. Maybe you think she's beautiful. I'm not here to comment on that, but obviously Gal Gadot is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And she's supposed to be the ugly stepmother. But I think people forget that the Wicked Witch or whatever is actually pretty. She was the fairest maiden in the land until Snow White. So Snow White is supposed to be better looking. It's not necessarily that she's ugly. And I don't think Prince. I don't actually remember the movie as well as I should, but I don't recall him being a stalker. I think when she ran away that first time, it's because she wasn't presentable. She was in like tattered clothing and whatever. I don't like that movie, so I don't think about it. I think the movie's ass, and I think all the dwarfs are on crack, but dopey, sleepy, like you're all on drugs.
Well, obviously, this is a thing that happens, all right. Like, they modernize these
Yeah.
movies because, like a decade ago or whatever, I think it's a decade ago now. It might be, yeah, it should be. Like, they made like Maleficent, right? Like, Maleficent is a completely different story, and obviously, it's not even the most like modern thing. But Maleficent, it was like, oh, well, nobody's ever heard her side of the story and how she interprets the things that happened to her, and they gave her her own ending, and nobody complained about that. They were like, oh, some people liked it, some people didn't, and like I said, again, the own actor doing this to her own movie is just silly. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
But as far as the movie itself coming out, this is the thing nowadays. They're trying to appeal to a certain group of people with movies like this. And again, you don't gotta watch it. Like, you don't gotta go watch it. Like, I don't like Snow White or care about Snow White either. So yeah, I'm not gonna go watch this. This is not for me. But I do
100%.
understand, I guess, from the standpoint that, or at least this is how I look at it, right?
Mhm.
I do have a certain level of understanding that if you're a parent or whatever, and you have a certain um want or a presentation you want for something that you enjoy in your childhood, and you want your child to grow up and enjoy the same thing, to have that experience the same as you, and you don't want that, you feel like, or at least in your opinion, your perspective, you feel like it's being like I don't know the right word. It's feel like it's being messed up. Feel like it's being like, they're putting a modern twist on it. You feel like it's not the genuine experience. But here's my thing for you, right? I have a great solution if you just listen. Why don't you show them the same version that you watched instead of going taking them and watch this new version? Because the old version did not disappear. It still exists. This is like, you can do it, but like, it's just like, do your research, because this is something you should do for anybody, not even just parents or anything. I'm not putting parents on blast, but for anybody. When you look into something, especially in today's age, look it up. Make sure this is actually what you want to get yourself into. And I know you don't want to spoil yourself on the movie. I'm not saying that. But maybe you need to look up like right now, like her doing this video kind of told on herself. So it's kind of like, maybe you should look up what's behind these people's interviews. What are they talking about? What is director saying the direction this movie or whatever is gonna go? And if that don't sound like something you would enjoy, then you can make a correct decision and be like, oh well, I'm not gonna watch it. Because I always said with like Barbie, I was always like, oh, I know what direction this is going
You
because
know
I'm
the
familiar with
Greta.
Greta Gerwig's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, if you watch her other movies, you know what she's about.
And we watched a
She's
pretty
about,
interesting video about that with Michael Knowles and like his
yeah, I
interpretation.
was gonna bring that up at a later date, but that was, yeah, that's something that goes back to like perspective, how you watch it. But it's like for if you were familiar with her work, you know she's about feminism. She's about women coming of age stories. That's what two of her top movies are about. It's about feminism, women coming of age. So you kind of have to know that at least that was going to be some of that in their movies, because that's just how authors and directors and writers work. In any medium that you're in, parts of themselves and parts of the things they care about are in their work always. So I just think in some ways you could say people got to be a little bit more diligent about the stuff they're going to watch. And now I'm not here to tell you if that Snow White movie is good or bad. Obviously, he's saying he got canceled. And if she's saying it's really like that, then yeah, maybe that doesn't sound the most tasteful. Don't sound most tasteful to me. I don't think that's a way that I would want the movie to be presented, even though I don't care about it. It's just not very tasteful in my eyes, in my perspective. But yeah, I just think it's a really silly thing to cut the legs out of your own movie that you're in, that you're starring in, and that you're helping making the revenue. I guess if that's how it works.
Mhm.
So
I'm gonna
just
say
silly.
I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna show you the video, and you'll see some of the things she said. Because I think I kind of like this guy. He's kind of funny. Garfield called him a stalker. I think these people are getting talking points from the studio, or they are stupid because you are destroying your career. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. But I hear you. I do think some of them are PR trained to say these things. We already have a boss bitch, Snow White. She's in Huntsman. She talked about how women aren't in power in the movie when the stepmother is literally the most powerful person in that story. Why are all the rubbish controversies mostly from Disney property? I heard Disney didn't have a good year. Disney hasn't had a good year either. A lot of their movies bomb. I think the one movie that made money, because my understanding, based on what they say, this is not my metric. You have to make double the money of what you spent on production and marketing for it to be a profit, right? I think Guardians of the Galaxy was the only thing that really made money for like Disney. Exactly, the old stuff is still there. That's because it's rewriting history, Vince. What will happen in a few years is that the influence Disney has on media distribution, the live action will become the norm, and the physical media is dying. Snow White will become this messaging movie. They want it to be not the original. Current Disney seems like they have the most studio interference with their creatives. I will say it's important to buy physical media because they are doing weird DLC things where they add and remove stuff. I mean, this is one thing I'll say though. George Lucas has done this years ago with adding Jabba the Hutt in like A New Hope, but I'm not a fan of like I heard like there's something in Stranger Things that I heard they changed, and I know Steven Spielberg. I think there was a version of ET where he removed the guns from the aliens and put a walkie-talkie in their hand. I don't like that. Don't do that. But yeah, sorry, you were saying something.
No, I was gonna say I can understand the viewpoint about rewriting history, but at the same time, this is a 50-year-old movie. This has been existing for a long time. I think with the power of the internet,
I think it's
it's not gonna
relevant.
go away. Yeah, say it's not gonna go away. I'm sure you can find a way to find it. Something like this that's as popular as it is too, it's not just gonna disappear. Well, I do agree that they're painting a new message on and stuff like that, but we have that for a ton of things. I'm trying to get an example to my head, but there are a lot of things that have been written in different. Oh, Batman, for example. How many different orientations of Batman? Now they don't nothing quite to the level of this, obviously, but there's a bunch of Batman movies out. You don't have to watch every Batman movie. You can pick and choose the one you want to watch. If you don't like the Nolan movies, don't watch them. If you like the Matt Reeves version, which I do quite a bit, not every part of it, but I like a little bit more, I will. So like, and like I
Michael
said, at the end
Keaton,
of the
George
day,
Clooney,
you get to pick and choose.
yeah.
You get to pick and choose what you want to watch. It's not. It's not. These are not things, at least in my opinion, that are forced onto you because the more damaging rhetoric is not going to come from this movie. If it's going to be more dangerous stuff, that stuff's already happening. This movie is not going to make it any better or worse in my eyes. It's just the movie. It don't got that. At least for me, not so nothing like this got that much power.
Yeah.
The power comes in different ways.
Streaming services will drop movies and shows unless they are picked up by another distributor. They could be lost in a sense forever. Well, you guys know me. I put my straw hat on. I buy my ish. There's not a single streaming service that I pay for that I'm subscribed to. I'm not even saying I don't have them, but I don't pay for them. I don't want it. So
Man, I definitely hear. I can't even say y'all wrong. I definitely because movies and even video game people with Steam and stuff like that do stuff like that. But at the same time, I look around and most of y'all know how to do the P word. Your arg. Y'all know how to do that. There is so in some ways I don't think it's all good because there's stuff at upload. Yes, it might be harder to find, but I just don't think something to that level too. And especially a company like Disney, they're not letting their stuff disappear. They are way too powerful entity and they make way too much money for them to just be like they might do it for like a specific like a streaming service because they made their own. But they might go, we don't want you to have this.
There's a
I just
big
think something like
focus
that
on
is
her
crazy.
love
But
story.
I do hear the point. I don't want to dismiss the point because that is a fair point. So
yeah, I'm gonna play this real quick. I know we disappeared for a second. My bad, y'all. Just so you can get an idea of what she was saying and shit. But this is Ryan Long. I think he's a stand-up comedian. And what I like about him from like the stuff that I've seen, he kind of plays the middle. So like, let's say he makes a Trump video, he'll make like always Trumpers versus never Trumpers. Like he doesn't necessarily like pick a side that way. I don't really know much more about him, but this was the little video. I thought this made me laugh. So he's like, when Snow White's lead actress is tanking the franchise, I think he's pretending to be like her manager or whatever. So here it is.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
Rachel, John from Disney here. Saw that you're doing press, getting out there. Love the men are bad stuff, down with the patriarchy, with that. Just thought we'd have a quick little chat about potentially toning it a tiny bit down on calling the prince a creepy predator. Men are trash, slapping myself right now. Not a fan personally, but it is just the first Disney film and we're already getting a little heat for the whole dwarf debacle. Remember you said no short guys on set and we complied. Oh, another one just got sent to me here.
I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
You're really just out here shitting on the property, huh?
Never revisited Snow White again.
We just want people who like Snow White as a kid to come again to Snow White. Okay, imagine we had Fast and Furious 9 coming out and all the press was telling them how bad Fast and Furious 1 through 8. Movie about cars, very male-driven cast. Yes, not a fan. Just watching this one here.
And then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like.
And you are discouraging people from going on the ride.
Was terrified of it.
Are you familiar, Rachel, with how this company makes money? No, listen, all of the girl power down with men, that stuff plays. We are on board. Feel the exact same way. There's some at the office right now. Dave, fuck you, Dave. Can't stand him. Just another man with a job he probably doesn't even deserve. Tell you what, Rach, gonna do something for you. Dave, you're fired.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed.
Stick it to the fat cats, on board with all that, but just to maybe the naked eye, someone less trained than yourself, of course, it might come across a little bit like you just hate Snow White. And we were kind of just hoping to give people the impression that you do like Snow White, seeing as how she is the protagonist of this very expensive film.
She's not gonna be safe with the prince.
Yes, so smart. But what if we just did a little bit of a one for you, one for us situation? You know, and to be honest with you, after this movie comes out, you're gonna have a lot of new followers, especially once it does well, gets over to China, hits those box office numbers. That might be the perfect time, 8 months from now, go on that Snow White was sexist tour, really get that message out there, might be more potent. No, okay, and she's gone. Okay, we're gonna need to get Xi Jinping on the phone, and Dave, bring me my chapstick, because I'm about to suck some rod.
So that's like essentially what she was saying that pissed a lot of people off. It doesn't seem like she likes or cares about the movie like at all. The ending.
Oh my gosh, she has the worst media training of all time. Like, where is her manager? Okay, so another thing I guess I want to add to the point though too. Now that I thought about it, really important because it kind of feels like we've kind of forgotten about it. Who are these movies marketing to, and what is the rating on the movie? And now, hold on, I need to check it real quick because let me make sure that I am accurate before I say something that's not true. Okay, example. Barbie is PG-13. I bring that up because I like to say is, what does that mean? You think of all the PG-13 movies you watch. What does that mean to you? That means that ain't gonna be what you think it is, and it's probably not for a little kid.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing that they say too. So sometimes people, like I said, they assume because of the character or the theme of it is gonna be for a little kid, but that's why they slap those big ratings on there sometimes. You gotta look at that and you gotta make a choice. You be like, because really when they're making movies like this, because this is the thing to me, when they're making these movies are not being made for the children. That's not who they're targeting with these movies anymore.
I think it's millennials, people who grew up with it or
yes, that exactly. It said that Barbie movie, this Snow White movie, they're not targeting 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds with that, even though some of you are going to drag your kids to it. They are targeting the people, in that 15, 16, 17, and even the young 20s range. And maybe even some 30-year-old. That's who they're targeting with this stuff. Because that's the people who are going to go out and buy it and like the message and talk about it on Twitter and get all that engagement too. 7, 8, 9-year-olds don't tweet. I think the movie industry in some ways has figured out, we can attack a different market. This is a market we could tap into because they check this stuff. They look at the social media. They look what's going on. They got people in there. They're attacking a different viewer base, and it works. Because then look how much we end up talking about it.
I had heard that the millennials is actually the biggest base of people to market to, because they actually don't have nearly as many kids as the previous generations. So it's not that you don't want Gen Alpha or Z or whatever, but there's actually more millennials to appeal to, and they're like, my generation is like kind of childish, so we like don't grow up. So um yeah, man. Well, I guess to be honest, I understand what he's saying. Don't watch it because that is what happened. The whole movie is mostly going to bomb. Body language and manners is what irks people more than the statement. That last line was wild. This should be a family movie if you assume by a Disney production. But I get what you're saying. Like, I think parents and people in general need to just do a little bit more due diligence. Look into it a bit more. Just check a few things. Literally PG-13. Why? Sexual innuendos. Are you comfortable with your kid seeing something like that? Yes or no? Do you think they're smart enough or mature enough to handle something like that? Yes or no? Because I actually remember PG-13 movies where I've seen a titty. Honestly, like
Exactly.
I could recall that, and I'm not a prude by any such an imagination. I'm a degenerate, but it's like I know some people are not trying to have their kids see that out there or whatever. So this
See,
movie,
you can't say this market only exists online because Barbie just proved differently. Barbie just proved it to you. Look at all the engagement that movie going. Look how divisive that movie is for a lot of people. People go to these, and also the thing is, people go to these movies to hate watch it. And look what it did.
I want to say two things. One, I heard that Barbie made more movies in like Republican states, like redder areas, than the Democratic ones.
Because they wanted to know. Yes, because they wanted to know what was going on, why it's so divisive, why are people doing that. That's what I'm saying. They tap it into a different market. This big brain moves sometimes. This is big brain. They move it different because they know you're gonna go on here and talking about it. And again, people don't talk with their wallets no more. People don't go, I don't like this, I'm not gonna go. They do the opposite, in fact. I don't like it, so I'm gonna go hate watch it. And then I'm gonna make a review on it. And then I do like that. Nah, but yeah, it is big marketing, but the more you talking about it, you marketing the movie yourself. The more you talking about it, you marketing.
I actually want to give my best friend's perspective on this, what she said about it, which I thought was interesting because she looked at it from her lens. She's like, she's one of those people where like it's not that she's not into like girl empowerment or feminism or anything of the sort, but it's not to a like insane degree. But she's not a fan of like, let's say Captain Marvel or the Mulan movie because she's like, where I am today, I struggled to get here. I messed up. I went through trials and tribulations, hardships, and I had to overcome obstacles to become where I am today. I wasn't born perfect and could do everything just because I'm a woman. So she has that like perspective. So that's how it doesn't appeal to her. She said Barbie was the first movie in a long time she remembers that she felt like they just wanted girls to go out and have fun, watch it with their girlfriends, bring their boyfriends, wear pink and stuff like that. Cause like people when they go up, when I see them, they're dressed in pink. They look like Barbie dolls. They're dolling themselves up to go watch the movie. The Barbie whole shindig was an experience, not just the film. And I didn't think about it that way. Obviously, I didn't care. I didn't see it, so it's not for me. So I didn't go look at it. But I thought that point made sense. That hit with me. I was like yeah, because I remember seeing like they made like a Barbie dream house in the real world and the pink carpet and a red carpet or something, and like all these marketing things that made women really want to go out and watch it. To the point, my sister for her birthday party had a Barbie themed party. They had Polaroids where it's like, this Barbie, I'm that Barbie, I'm this Ken, I'm that Ken.
Like I said, this just genius level. Like they tapped into it. Now, will they learn from it? I don't know, but they really realize who's buying all the tickets, who numbers you got to move. We talk about this with wrestling sometime. If you get the women or the moms, you get everybody else, because who ends up dragging everybody to go see this stuff? Your mom, your sister, your girlfriend. It's G level stuff. Because men, you just go watch whatever you want to watch. You don't really like go watch a movie and you be like, or go watch with your homie. You'll be like, oh, we want to see this, so us two will go see it. Yeah. So like you and me want to go see Star Wars. You and me will go, but we're not gonna be like, X, Y, and Z don't like Star Wars, but they gotta come too. We don't do that. We go, this movie, we want to go see it, so we'll go and we'll buy it. The ladies, you all gotta come with me. y'all gotta go. We all going together. So guess what? You just went from one ticket. Yeah. You went from one ticket to 4 to 5 or whatever. So it was a whole lot of stuff that goes through. It's not the only thing. There was a double, it's a double feature. Kind of Oppenheimer. It's a completely different vibe. There's a whole lot of things that went into that. But like I said, I just think that they're tapping in. My big point is I think they're tapping into a different market because they're not necessarily trying to appeal to children anymore. Now, if you think that's right or wrong, it's a completely different conversation. Yeah. But I think in some ways they're hitting you with a double boot. They're acting like these movies are for children, but they're not for children. They're for the people who grew up with it in childhood. It's not the same group of people.
Exactly. And you know what I always say? There's no such thing as hate viewing. You do say that, or like me and you'd be like guilty pleasure. If I like something, I like something. Ain't no guilty pleasure for me. Barbie marketing must be studied. That was genius levels. You know what? Barbie marketing said, if you like Barbie, this movie is for you. If you hate Barbie, this movie is for you. So they wanted everyone in theater regardless. Plus the Barbenheimer combined market pushing did a lot of the work. Barbenheimer blew up. Yeah, I saw Oppenheimer. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fine. I liked it. It's really long. I'm not a fan of long movies. You guys don't like brevity. I'll try to get in and out of there like 2 hours if I can. But yeah, like I will say this though. I think they did a good job with it, but I actually think Hollywood is awful at understanding why something worked the first time, and they can never replicate it. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I think they already proven that. They're already proving that now because they want to make all these other
Polly Pockets,
toy movies, and I don't think they understand that.
Wasn't the point.
Yeah. People don't want to see that. People saw that because the women liked the movie. You got to target the women for the movie. Yeah, it already feels like they don't get it. But that's why I say perfect storm.
And they're the biggest consumers and they buy the most things or whatever. I was speaking earlier in my other stream about the pink tax too, where I'm like, I like talking to them because they'll show me things from their perspective through their lens that I don't know. Like things like soap, deodorant, and shampoo cost less for us just naturally, just because. And we're men. Where we like conditioner, shampoo, anti-dandruff all in one. Yeah, it works for me and it's go. We're like we're not like I need this much SPF and this, like we're not doing all that. So I find all of those different perspectives to be very interesting, but they need something special.
You can't usually remix us either. Like, they can put out with different flavors and stuff like that. Men don't usually do that. We like, or like if you're a man, usually a lot more consistent with the type you buy. Like, I buy a deodorant, I might buy that same deodorant type for the next 5 years because that's gonna be my whole entire thing. I'm like, I like this one. I'm not looking for another one. This is it, baby. Yeah, this is it for the next 5 years.
Avon roll-on, it's just I have so many of these. It's the same shit. I used to have some Axe ones, but
the ladies will buy different color, different type for either for the aesthetic or for the smell or stuff like that. That's just what happened. You just apply it to movies and stuff like that too. It's like, if I like something, I'll just keep diving into the same market for the same thing over and over again. But I don't start. They can't remix it on me. They can't be like, oh, well, we're gonna make 20 different versions of it. I'm not buying all 20. I'm buying one. And I like the one. That's probably it.
Yeah. Whichever piece of media garnered enough curiosity from you to consume it, the purpose has already been served at the point. So I don't know where the concept of hate watching comes from. That's what like me and Samir are saying. Like generally people say like I'm hate watching it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a real term. I don't. It isn't. It's not a term for me. But I think like what we're saying is they secretly really like it, or they care about it, they want it, but they want it. They're acting like they hate it.
I think the only way hate watching applies to me, or at least my definition of it, is that you don't give a crap about this, but if you hate on it, you'll get attention, views, and or money. And that's what hate watching is to me. Because it's like, you don't care about this movie, but if you talk about it, it's gonna do big numbers, do big views, it's gonna help you out. So that's why, because it's like, if your history was you watch sci-fi big action movies, and then all of a sudden you got a Barbie review up and you're like, this the worst movie ever with all the hyperbole. Well, naturally people are gonna be like, oh man, they really hated that movie. Let me click on it. Why did they hate this movie so much? It works. It's a formula to it. Yeah. But yeah, most people that do hate watching. Normally, the only other way I think you could do it is not really hate watching. Is people do the thing with the I know I'm not gonna like, but I try to be objective, knowing you're gonna hate it anyway. That's silly, and even then, that's just a silly thing that people do. I don't really get it. for the sake of objectivity, which is not really objective when you break it down, because you know you're not gonna like it, and you're still trying to paint yourself as being this unbiased promotion. But
the weird part for me is like you have to take money and time to do that. Or see, at the very least with me, you could be like, okay, I like superheroes, but I haven't been impressed with what they've been doing lately. So what am I gonna do? Straw hat. At the very least, all you got was like 2 hours of my time. I'm not getting up, using gas money, driving to the theater, waiting, sitting down, paying for a ticket to give you something for something I don't think I'm gonna like. If that makes sense. So yeah, they try to justify their interest, but bingo, they don't want to admit that they want to watch it out of interest, so they try to justify their interest and keep themselves from the fan base. Yes, hate watching generates views, so people do monetize it. I just started to think to myself, man, what did he do to make them niggas that mad? Oh, Boondocks. Oh man, good times, good times. But yeah, it's just kind of funny how some people go about things. But again, one thing that I do notice a lot more, like we'll speak about this a lot more in depth when we start to talk about like specific communities, red pill, manosphere, this one, that one, political space, whatever. When we do some other stuff, this is just an introductory episode. That's why we're all over the place. I promise we'll be more focused and things will look and sound better later. But one thing that I think about a lot too is again talking through and around the people. Let's say I bring you on my red pill talking show. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking through and around you to people who already agree with whatever it is that I'm thinking. And part of that's just a monetary thing. That's how you make your money. I'm not necessarily mad at that. I'm not the person to tell you not to get your money, but obviously I would prefer that you put something better into the world, but I can't control that. That's his life. I don't think there's a single corporation, conglomerate, tribe, group, company, job, occupation, whatever it is, that doesn't have bad actors in it. You think every cop wants to serve and protect? Like, good pension, you know? You think every doctor was like, I lost my dad because the doctor couldn't do the surgery, and now I dedicate myself to saving lives? Doctor is a good paying job. I literally could tell you women doctors that I know, I got this job so I can make six figures. That's it. That's the only reason why I did this. Not because I care about saving lives. I'm not saying they're like fuck you die, but they're like that's not why I went into this profession, right? So you have to remember that. So a lot of times what I see, like I'm just gonna use like the red pill for a thing. If you're a man and you go on like whatever fresh and fit or something, you have to posterize. You have to posterize. You say anything slightly sympathetic, blue pill, beta cuck, simp, limp dick, like you just get roasted in the comments, and I think it bothers them. They're not being themselves. They're kind of being, pufferfish to ward off its like predators. Well, like in big, like now they're standing more like this, like chest out, trying to act more than what they really are. I noticed this a lot. Even with the women. Oh shoot, my thing died. Hold on, I have to change my camera for a second.
his webcam died. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it could do that. You got one of those ones, the USB ones?
Yeah, but I have to be better. I'm gonna change the layout for a second. So
He's
I
like,
thought
oh, he's not gonna be better.
I thought I had more time. It usually lasts a little over 2 hours. But yeah, it's not necessarily that I agree or disagree with the groups in general, or whatever. There's good and bad in everything. There's pros and cons to everything in life. I'm a true believer of pros and cons, but I even when I see like women comment those things, I feel like women are a little bit more agreeable than men, so they feel the need to not go against the sisterhood or what they know the general speak or talking point is. So if it's about, oh, I'm always a 10, fuck niggas, get your bag, whatever, they're going to lean into that.
I
That's
think I'm a
just
little bit more definitive.
Mhm.
I'm nuanced too, but I think I'm a little bit more definitive on things I agree or disagree with. But mostly from the standpoint, it's not always that I can't see the other viewpoint. I just think they're doing it in bad faith a lot, or just have nefarious intentions, and that bothers me more than anything. I think, no matter what it is, whether it's movie makers or whatever, because
It's like
I
you're
don't think you're
monetizing
doing
men's
it.
loneliness and need and like want for companionship. You're monetizing the fact that they're they're lonely. That's kind of mean.
Right, yeah, and it's just like y'all don't talk like this to people. Y'all don't live like this outside your camera. Some of you do, and if you do, you're probably insane. And you know what? And if you're sane, or you're really that bad of a person, fair enough. Because if you keep that up, or if you really that committed to your character, you keep that up 24/7, 365, you different. But a lot of people, for me, is I'm just like, you not like that. I guess you and me, part of our problem is that to our detriment sometimes, that we believe a lot in being authentic, and I don't really, sometimes it works depending on what you're doing, goes your way, but sometimes in these type of spheres and different things, it don't,
Being
because people want you to go
hyperbolic
hard.
and extreme
Yeah.
is what gets the views, whether you're in the end of the spectrum. Like, you know, Barbie's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. I'm gonna burn this Barbie doll before I start the video. Like, that's just extra shit. Be like, yeah, I
Right.
made
And
this
like I
movie.
said, I talk about the movie, and I'm like, you know what? I can see how this rubbed you the wrong way,
Yeah.
or I think it was a little strong-handed, heavy-handed with the way it approached this subject and this subject. And there, and for that particular subject, I don't want to go too long. We're not talking about that. But even that thing, people there, I've had women that are pretty heavily feminist thought it didn't go hard enough, or they didn't like it because they disagree with some of the things that it did. So it's just like, to me, it's always a matter of perspective. But I just think if you're a human, a lot of the time, that you're a lot more nuanced, not for everything, but for a lot of things, because these things aren't that simple, or I don't have all the information, or I don't know enough about these things to go that hard. Why are you going that hard? Because for me, for certain topics, that if it's a possibility, for certain things, that makes the other side's point good enough to at least listen to. If there's a possibility of something going wrong or something happening, because just because it's low doesn't mean it's zero. That means it's happened to somebody. It's happened before. Whether that be something that's happened to men, women, or etc. Blah blah blah. And it's just like, okay, that thing is strong enough that we might have to, at least give it a conversation, at least talk about it. So that's just how I choose to look at stuff. So sometimes, yeah, there are certain things that either you or me, something will be like, it don't matter how much you talk to us, something like that. We just not hearing it, brother. And sometimes that's okay too.
Yeah.
Just depends on the person.
I spoke about my athletic upbringing and stuff like that, so like I can't get behind the way that the body positivity movement markets itself, because like one thing that I always like to say about a lot of these things that people tell you know what's very interesting, real quick. I was talking about body positivity, don't forget. Okay. um I had somebody tell me they don't believe anyone could be an independent, and I thought what they said was interesting. I had this conversation um I think maybe 2 weekends ago, where they think that people who are independent are just like right leaning conservative Republican people who are just masquerading because they don't want to be associated with them. And what was the point that he made? I can't remember exactly what he said, but like when I explained myself to him, he's like, yeah, I understand. Like you might be like an exception to the rule. And I thought that was interesting. But like what I said was like, okay, so something like body positivity. Do you agree with it? Like fuck no, right? I'm like, yeah. You see, I actually think that they had a point to a certain extent, and then they started glorifying it. By which I mean this: let's say I'm 5'6" and I'm 300 pounds. Just because I'm 300 pounds doesn't mean I should solely hate myself due to that one shortcoming in my life. What if I am at a tech company? I make good apps. I'm a value and asset to my company. That means something. I make good money. That means something. What if in my neighborhood I ingratiate myself into my community in a well way where like people and neighbors and stuff, they like me. Maybe I bake cookies for the kids. That means something. Do not hate yourself solely due to the fact that you're overweight. That made sense to me. That's what I thought it meant. But what I'm seeing has nothing to do with that. They're glorifying it. I'm seeing people rub their bellies and do, and do all kinds of weird shit, shake their arm fat, stuff like that. And I'm like, now you're glorifying it. And I think that's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I most people would consider that to be a left leaning position that I think that I understand in concept. I just don't like it in execution. And he's like, okay, I kind of get where you're coming from. So there's that. But I don't I it was interesting to someone say that you cannot be an independent. I'm like, I think sometimes when I'm speaking you'll think I'm a leftist, sometimes you'll think I'm a rightist, sometimes you'll think I'm a centrist, more moderate. Just depends on what I'm speaking about, what my beliefs are, and where the area is, because I believe a city and a rural small town do not require the same things or same like legislation and bills to be passed. I think if you live in a place with a lot of wildlife, and this place is with wildlife where it's actually the community's duty to stop things from overpopulating. which means you need hunting weapons. So maybe your Second Amendment rights there shouldn't be as strict as somewhere in a city where there's a bunch of cops and things of that nature. You get what I'm saying? Not that I'm not a gun expert or Second Amendment expert by any stretch of imagination. That's just the first example that came to my mind. But I think you get what I'm saying. Good
I
night.
think I think that
I'm
one of
just
the best
NPC.
things
Ice cream so
I
good.
think
Yes, yes, yes.
I think one of the best things I've ever heard is somebody was just like, most of these political ideology, not for everybody, but most for the most modern middle class people, poor people, comes down to just one position on one thing. Like, you might vote conservative simply from the fact that you just be like, I just don't want to pay taxes. I just don't believe like I should be able to do that. That does not mean that you all of a sudden you believe that like global warming is not real and that, you know, racism doesn't exist and stuff like that. For some people, it's just, you know, I don't want to pay taxes, and this guy said I'm not gonna have to pay taxes, so I'm gonna vote for him. For some people, it's that simple. I think that's a little naive, a little bit, because it's just from the standpoint that I just think you gotta outweigh and you gotta really look at it and stuff like that. But for some people, it really is that simple. They're not fully committed to one political party or not, because at the same time, we don't talk about politics probably enough in nuance in a way that would allow people to learn more about where they stand with themselves. Because I actually don't believe, like, even myself to a certain degree, I kind of know where I stand, but could I be more aware about certain positions or be more in depth about certain things? I absolutely could. And I think there's a lot of people that just have no idea what they're talking about or just have no idea where they stand. They just regurgitating talking points, and that's it.
I
And
think I was a little bit lucky just because my family was political, like my aunts and stuff. And my uncle, rest in peace, he was an immigration judge. And I used to work elections as an election poll clerk, advanced poll clerk, and stuff like that. So I was always somewhat a little bit politically active. And one thing that my uncle told me at a very young age is like, I get it, you're young, you don't care about the stuff, it is what it is, but understand that it cares about you and it will prey upon you for the things that you don't know. You don't have to be super involved and know everything, but the more you know, the less they can take advantage of you. And you can get involved in your community and stuff like that. And he was the one that taught me at a young age low level, local level matters more because that affects you immediately. As it goes up, it's more nationwide, international. So pay attention to the school board, pay attention to the mayor of your town, the stuff like that. So I was a little bit lucky because I had that upbringing that everyone had. Because trust me, I did not care at 16. Okay, I didn't give a shit, but I knew a bit more than the average person. Um, can't say it's not disheartening to see the state of discourse in general these days, but it's also at this point, it's all about extremes and dying on hills instead of keeping an open mind. You just gotta chalk it up to the game. Also, I, Max Kellerman is the first person that said that. I heard say this, and I always quote it a lot, where it's like, when I have new information about a situation that happened, I believe that I should be able to amend my position. I agree with that. I heard that sentiment. I'm independent. I'm not masquerading as nothing. Don't talk to me like I'm an idiot. I feel it. So yeah, which is kind of thing that I think about. And damn it, I had one more point to make surrounding the political thing. And what were you just saying?
no, I was just basically saying that like I could be probably a little bit more aware, or like you said, kind of like I could change as I grow more, but I don't know everything. I can't act like I do. There are certain things that I'm certain about, or like for example, like I always tell you, you and me, at my age group and what I worry about. I'll talk about somebody today too. There are certain things that I worry about that take priority over other things. Not that they don't matter, but for me, for example, I don't care about gender politics. Not really. I don't care about certain things with. I don't have many more examples right now. It'll come to be later. But certain things I don't care about because for me, I'm like, am I gonna be able to buy a house? Am I gonna be able to like go to the hospital? Can I go there without like me basically having to sell off everything I own because something happened to me that was unfortunate or
You
something I
sell your
couldn't
kidney, you
avoid?
sell a kidney to nurse a
Yeah.
headache.
Yeah, it's like that's the type, and I care about education. And that's something I do care about education from the standpoint, but I don't necessarily care about what kids are identifying as. I think it plays a part. I can't say that I don't care completely because a teacher is one of the most influential people in your life. They end up becoming that. But like, yeah, I care about if we're going like, if we're saying that like free speech is important and stuff like that, why are we taking stuff out of classrooms, or why are we saying that like, oh, you got to stop teaching? It's not teachers implementing their own bias onto the kids, because that's different. But I'm saying, if, especially at the higher education level, if people are choosing to take this class, they should be allowed to. They're adults. If they're choosing to learn about this, or even in high school to a certain degree, because if it's an elective, if it's not a requirement. Because there's a difference between a requirement and elective. If it's something that elective, that's something that kid chose to walk into, and learn about. So I'm not just like, oh, because you think this is bad, all of a sudden you're just like, well, we're not gonna have this in school anymore. I don't agree with that, especially if it's not a major requirement. Now, if you make this a major requirement and you think it's not a good thing, that's completely different, and it just depends on what it is. But like, imagine if I was just like, you know what? I'm the governor of Texas, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think science is important. Y'all don't need to learn that. So, or not all science is important. Like, yeah, chemistry is important, and yeah, like physics is important, but what do y'all need to know biology for? Like, shut up, y'all. You're not be marine biologists. Like, no more of that. I'm taking that out of school. Just, that would just be unheard of. That would be unthinkable. Like, you wouldn't think of like that. So like, if it's an elective to me or something like, or like, for example, like elective you take in high school, be like cooking classes and stuff like that, and it just
music, MIDI,
right. I mean, and you could argue some of that stuff is not the most important things in your life, but
like, I took
who's
MIDI
to say it's not important?
I can't make beats.
Right, exactly. But who's to say it's not? It doesn't end up important to that kid, or it doesn't become helpful for them. Yeah, so I get that. Yeah, I took 2 cooking classes in middle school. Do I remember most of that stuff? No. but like, who's to say that doesn't help a kid down the road? Who's to say a kid didn't take that class and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I want to be a chef, or I want to be a baker, or something like that. So I just don't believe in taking that stuff out. That's because crazy. you can't have it both ways.
It's crazy because you saying what you just did reminded me of what I wanted to speak about. Because here is the one thing about like I think the classroom example you used was great, because it reminded me of conservatives wanting them to take LGBT, critical race theory, and gender ideology out, but the left also being like, no Bibles or no churches or whatever. My general opinion, things should be politically neutral. You should just learn math, science, whatever. Now, that being said, here's the part that always makes me laugh, where I'm like, why do we do this? Because this doesn't even make sense to me. Why are conservatives and right-leaning people associated with religion? There's not people on the left who aren't religious. That's the dumb. Most people I know are left-leaning and a little left of center, and I know Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, Christians, Catholics, all of them, and they have a left-leaning political ideology. So I don't like, it's so effing weird to me. I think there's people on the right that aren't gay, that aren't bi, pan, all of that. Blair White's right there. Blair White is a right-leaning trans person. There's that one guy, OC on Timcast. I don't remember his name. He has a husband. He's gay, but he's a conservative. Like they act like the things don't intermix and intermingle. So I'm just like, you could just not teach the Bible and not teach the gender ideology at all. But it's like, why do you act like religious people don't exist on both sides and LGBT people don't exist on both? It's just the strangest thing to me. I don't know. It's so fucking hilarious to me.
Okay, so those two things I would have to answer separately, but here's my interpretation of it. Mm-hmm. So the second one, I think it's more seen as from the standpoint that you're kind of going against the things in your best interest. Okay. From the standpoint that if your sexual ideology is gay, bi, or anything like that, most people that are right leaning are not as what's the right word? They're not as like sympathetic, and they don't usually help you gain your rights as much as somebody from the left or more left-leaning ideology does. So that's kind of different. Now, the religion thing, I think, is a combination of two things, right? So when America was first made, the founding fathers, which is something that the right-wingers always try to kind of come back to a lot of their arguments too, because they like to interpret the Constitution as is. Well, the founding fathers said we're supposed to have a separation of church and state. They're not supposed to be together. Yep. So that's number one. So that's like a thing. It's kind of like, well, do you pick and choose? Like, do you say like you don't want this stuff, but like you want religion in school, but like The founding fathers said they don't want that because that was part of the thing when they left. Where they left is that the king was using religion to levy taxes and all that good stuff against them. And they were like, yeah, none of that. Or you didn't like us because you're Catholic and we're Protestant. So you were enforcing Catholic doctrine upon us, but we're Protestant. So we don't like that. So no more of that in America. We don't want that because that's how we got in the situation in the first place. And that's why we end up leaving. So that's the first part of it. That's part of it. And then the other part of it is that I think that like, when it comes to critical race theory, like I said, I probably still need to like exactly figure out what that is to a certain extent.
I never
because
got a concrete answer.
we're gonna have to spend some time actually looking at that. But when it comes to stuff like that, I just think that like a lot of people, when it comes to that type of stuff, is that, or for as far as some of my basic knowledge on it, is that I think people are trying to get people to be like, in school, they're not teaching you quote unquote the truth, quote unquote the facts, how this stuff actually happened, because they kind of baby it because they don't want to go into full depth. Now, I've had a lot of the history teacher maybe not fully dive into it because they know their job could be on the line or something like that, but they try to give you a little bit more in-depth knowledge of stuff that happened, or they be like, it's not this simple, or like they're not showing you all the stuff because it's more graphic or more. There's just a lot more that goes on. There's a lot more things that necessarily that went into it. And some of my things for some of the stuff that happened too is that it's one thing, like I was kind of explaining earlier, it's one thing if you're saying on a middle school, high school level, you don't want these things involved, because that I can understand to a certain degree. But once you start getting to the higher levels of education, college is not a requirement like the other levels of education are. College is a choice. College is seen as the high level of studying. So why are you taking things out of the high level of education? People pay to be there. They're paying their money to be there. So if they want to take whatever class, you should not be able to dictate them not being able to take that. So that's how I see it when it comes to that level. If you're on higher level learning, if this is supposed to be protecting things of academia and we're supposed to be protecting that knowledge at the highest level, this is people's choice. Now, I don't remember no critical race theory or nothing like that happened in high school. When in my high school, I went to a Texas high school, so it wasn't nothing like that even close.
That was it. Black History Month.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We didn't have nothing.
Right back. You go right back. You go right back.
No, I'm saying, so it was nothing even close to that. In high school, you learn basic stuff. I don't even remember any of my high school even going close to in-depth about any of that stuff, unless you specifically had a black teacher that was telling you that like racism wasn't that simple, stuff like that. And even then, again, a lot of them didn't want to go that crazy because they're, they know your job on the line. Or you say the right thing. I remember I had a teacher, and this is for an elective. I'm not gonna say what elective it was or whatever thing, a teacher name or nothing like that. I had an elective, and he got fired because he was really preachy. He got fired after I left. He didn't get it there. But I remember he would spend whole class periods just preaching about like America going down the drain, and not even like from a left perspective, from a conservative perspective. But he was just like, he was a guy that like when he wasn't at school in his spare time, he lived out in the country and he lived in stuff like, so like, and he probably grew up out there and stuff like that. So like his idea of it, and I used to just sit there and let him get it off his chest. I was just like, oh, well, I guess we're not learning nothing today. That's 40 minutes. I don't got to do nothing today. So it's just like, I'm going to let him cook. I'm going to let it cook. So like, it's whatever. But like, for me, when you go to the higher levels of learning, nothing should be off the table, I guess is my example. In high school, if you just want to say, all we want to do is teach the kids the basics, which I don't 100% agree with, because I don't think everybody teaches the basics the same way and not as good. Like Texas is low on education level. We're not nearly as good as like up north and like Massachusetts, which is like I think number 1, or at least they're like top 5 or something like that. So like they already starting on a higher base level and stuff like that. But there's arguments at least to be made. But once you get to the highest level, I don't believe you should be taking anything off the table, at least in my opinion.
I think that's fair at the college level. Talk about it all. When you're grown and everything like that. And again, a lot of these classes you pick and choose yourself. You might have, for whatever you're trying to do, like journalism, yes, you're gonna have to do English and you have to do like writing and photography, but then you have other things you could choose yourself. So I think that's fair. But I don't know. It's just one thing of those things in the classroom that I like, because they're always talking about grooming, and I'm like, well, school, that's what school is in general, right? And grooming isn't necessarily, it's not an inherently good or bad term. It's just, what are you being instilled with? those intangibles and values and traditions and standards, good or bad, and good or bad for your life. Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to take information and apply it to the way your life is. So like, I have a lot of younger guys who look up to me for advice and things like that, and I always do my best to guide them as best as I can because I never had that when I was growing up. I'm not saying my parents weren't around or anything of the sort like that, but I did a lot of this dating and stuff like that by trial and tribulation, trial by fire, completely on my own, right? But one thing that I always say is like, cause I won't lie to you, I know a lot of little niggas in this neighborhood who love Tate, who love whatever podcast, who love Myron and Fresh from like Fresh and Fit and stuff, right? And I don't particularly care like that, but I do think they take a lot of bad advice because I go like this, right? What is it that you want? What do you mean? Do you want to have 45 Bugattis and 670 bitches? Or are you trying to get married, have a kid, and the white picket fence or get in the house? Like, what are you extrapolating from this resource? You have to be able to take information and remix it and tailor suit it to yourself. So maybe the thing that you are really here for is fitness stuff because you're not in the greatest shape. Maybe your money is right, your education is right, but you're not fit or that well socially calibrated. Learn that, remix it for your life, and go after what you want. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you should be in the club popping bottles if you're apparently trying to find a traditional wife. I don't think traditional women are going to be at the club. I'm not saying they're not, but I just don't think that's probably the best place. Maybe go to the supermarket or something. I don't know. Try something. I'm also not a fan of online dating apps like that because to me, personally speaking, I feel like you start treating people like a item in a wish list. It's very weird to me. I think it's bad for your long term psychology. That's the main reason why I don't do it. I'm trying not to break my brain and be like brain dead at 80. I'm trying to work. I try need it to work. So I try not to do things that I think will negatively impact my psychology long term. So I try to give them stuff like that. So when it comes to the things with school or whatever, it's like you should be learning something you think it's going to be helpful to you, useful to you, and help you in life. And if you don't think gender ideology is important, sure. If you don't think religion is important, sure. I think that's totally fine. Go to workshop. Go to fucking drama class. Something else. It's fine. I find the critical race theory stuff funny as fuck because you learn what CTR when you learn CTRs, you realize that shit is not actually being taught at middle school, secondary schools. What I'm talking about is what the theory is actually about, not what it's become defined as right now. So like, what is it though? Like, what is it? Like, I still don't know what it is because I've heard 60 different examples and ways that it goes, and I'm like, I just don't know what they're talking about anymore. So I just stopped caring about it in general from top to
I
bottom.
guess here's my thing because I'll piggyback off of something. Simi's literally his comments are basically like, they should just teach history and not sugarcoat it, which I agree with. But the problem is, I guess depending on who you ask, people can't agree on what happened or certain events or certain things that happen. Like I'll say like this, right? If you're in Texas and you're taking a history class, you know what you learn? You learn about basically everything that happened in the 1700s to the late 1800s to the early 1900s. And then after that, all you do is talk about a little bit of World War II, 9/11, and that's it. That's it. You don't talk about anything else. You spend the majority of history class focus on how Texas was created in that time period in the older days. And it's good to learn about that stuff, but it's kind of like you're not learning about what happened in Saudi Arabia. You're not learning about what happened in Cuba. You're not learning about. You don't even learn about the Cold War.
Ends at 9/11. You didn't know that? That's the last historical
Yeah,
event that ever happened
they love
in the world.
Or like they'll do a small little piece. They'd be like, "Oh, Obama was the first black president." Blah 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 blah. And then that's it. Like you spend a lot of your time in middle and high school going on the same things about what the legislative branch is, what the judicial branch is, and what the executive branch is, and you spend a lot of time in the same 100-year span. A little bit before you'll learn about what the Mayflower contract was and stuff like that, but they're not really giving you an in-depth version of anything. And I can only speak for Texas because it's the only place I've been and grew up and raised in. You're not going in a lot of depth, and it's all test and manufactured into this small little time period that you may not see, especially as a high schooler, What does that have to do with me? You're as high school, you're looking at this like me. I just like history. So my ass, I'll go sit at home and watch a World War II documentary. I'll go sit at home and I'll look at what the Romans did and stuff like that because I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, human beings really came up with like a trebuchet so they destroy other human beings? Like, that's nuts. Like, you gotta be a mental person to come up with something like that. But if you're a regular high schooler that's not into stuff like that, you're just looking at this and you're just like, oh, well, I get to learn who Sam Houston was again. And I get to learn and like what does Texas have to do with, you know, the United States? And oh, well, Texas became a official state and blah 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 blah, and we were part of the South, a part of the war, and you're not going into any depth about any of that stuff. They're not trying to even touch that. They're not trying to get in depth about any of that. They're really not. It is very, we got to do that because if we do, because what's going to happen? Somebody's parents going to come up and be like, why are you teaching my kid that? Why are you telling them this? Why? And it's not even as simple as like white people bad, white people good, stuff like that. But they just don't want to even go into depth and be like, yeah, like a lot of people got destroyed and racism did exist and blah blah blah. They don't want to do any of that. So that's why, to me, it's never as simple as like just for me, Simi, it's never as simple as just teach history, because that's different for every state and for every person. It comes down to individual teachers sometimes as well. If you got a teacher who don't believe racism is real, you think they go spend a lot of time on racism in class? Not a chance. If you're a person who's black, they might spend too much time on racism. That might end up becoming your entire class. So it's a slippery slope. But that's why I think something like critical race theory might exist, is because they're saying if you're more interested in learning in a more in-depth how racism impacts you in the modern times, we have to look about the whole history about it and the whole history of the thing. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I've never taken a class, so I can't tell you if it's useful or how good it is.
Cool. So
yeah, I can't tell you how good it is, but I think, or at least that's my interpretation of why it might exist, because a regular history class is not going to go in depth, especially not a Texas one. They trying to get that money, baby. They trying to, did you pass this test? Because that's what teachers' grades are. That's what teachers depended on. Teachers care about evaluations? Not all of them. Some of them, you know, got junior thing, but teachers kind of care about evaluations because that's how they get their bonuses. If teachers don't get bonuses, they're out of that school. I got a teacher as a neighbor. One of the reasons why he left is because he got a bad evaluation because he thought one of the vice principals didn't like them. He's like, I'm out. I don't get paid enough to stay here. Their money got to keep going up, bro. Like, I'm going to a different school district. I'm not staying here so y'all can pay me bare minimum to deal with these children that I don't like that much, or just like it's getting harder and harder every year. They're like, I'm bouncing, bro. I'm going to the white neighborhood or something, or I get paid more. Like, so it you know, it just really depended on a whole lot of stuff. It's not that simple.
So Tim just said what I was told was critical race theories saying society is the way it is because it was constructed by a white man. And the thing is, if you teach actual history, the common denominator will show itself. One of my messages in the send, green Twitch is trash. Missing one of my messages say my missing message says there is no reason to teach theory about history. Just teach history. That's it. Don't skip parts. Don't shorten parts. Teach history. Teach what happened, and that's it. I've been here for a while. Just made an account. Welcome, Low. Welcome, Indra Stan. I, for an entire month, was obsessed with the Kennedy assassination. Actually, we could end this. We could end it with this because me and you are similar with this. I'll piggyback in a second. It's kind of sad to think we've been taught in a very black and white way instead of giving us actual details to let us think for ourselves. I'll be honest. I'm the opposite of Vince. I never had much interest in history. It's something that I started to care about when I got older. But I never had a good history teacher. I think history is one of those classes I needed a good teacher to enjoy it, because I love science, but if I have a bad science teacher, I will not enjoy the class. But I love science. I'm more interested in the why than the what. Me and you have a habit of I don't want to say get obsessed, but falling down a rabbit hole of just different things at different periods of time. You might circle back or whatever, right? So like I'll give you guys an example. I had a foraging season earlier this year. I just looked like the world goes to shit. You got to survive in the wild. The guy from the UK. He's like, this is how you get the microbes out the water. You see this mushroom here? This is how you know it's poisonous. And like I just had a month of me just watching a bunch of videos about how to like survive off in the wild, just foraging, just hilarious. Then I had this like remember in 2020 that my psychology phase. I was a fake ass psychologist. I was just psychology. I was going crazy. Like, why did I think this thing was so stupid? I thought philosophy was way better. Then I had a neuroscience phase, right? Neuroscience, and I was talking about the brain, negative feedback loops, talking about Andrew Huberman, talking about so you know like your body is is very advanced. It does things without you having to manually do it. You're not thinking about breathe in, breathe out, blink. Red blood cells carry nutrients throughout my body. That's happening automatically. So I was learning about the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex in conjunction with the insula, how it controls all your body's autonomous functions. I'm like, that's so fascinating to me. So like I fall down these rabbit holes. So you saying that like you being obsessed with the Kennedy assassination thing for a month um interested in me. So you just recently said that like your current one right now seems to be mostly wrestling and whatnot. You getting into wrestling, and you and Simi been talking a lot about it. As a matter of fact, I learned a lot talking to you guys. And sometimes like if I'm watching something and I'm like, yo, my boys don't fuck with this. This is not this not New Japan. This is not whatever. And then like they get mad, but I'm just doing it to stir the pot, right? I'm just being a dickhead. Like it's how I am, a shit disturber. I like to see people's blood boiling and stuff like that. But um the I was just thinking about what my current one is like right now, and I actually realized like I don't have one right now. Like I don't think I've just anything in particular I've been super diving into like that. So it's been a while since I got myself lost into it. But I can say I think there was one random day there was something I was looking at, and that whole day I was reading about something. It has something to do with sexual libido and mismatched libidos. That's what it was in relationships. It was mismatched libidos and how that's causing a lot of problems. And apparently, um, I don't know if you've been hearing the stuff about microplastics and endocrine disruptors. So there was stuff about endocrine
No,
disruptors. Endocrine
yeah.
disruptors are things that kind of interfere with the body's natural function. So a lot of things that we drink and eat are wrapped in plastic, and we get a bunch of microplastics in our body. And they're saying that the reason that maybe a lot of men are their testosterone's way lower is because of the food that we eat, the microplastics, radiation, amongst other things. Where like they're saying it's something like the average male these days has the testosterone of a like 60-year-old man from way back in the
I
day.
have heard that. I have heard that
Something
before.
something along those lines, which was pretty interesting. So I guess maybe the microplastic, because like I actually caught myself recently trying to drink more out of glass and stuff like that instead of drinking out of plastics. I don't even have all the information, which is kind of funny, all things considered. But I had a point and I lost it, so I'm sorry. I lost the point. I just gonna read. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna read Lizard's comment. The basic of CRT is just the analysis of how things like law, politics, and interest, and etc.
Intersex, yeah.
intersects with the idea of racial inequality. The actual idea of CRT is complex, and it's not something you'd be able to teach in high school, much less in any grade schools. Under that, LOL. Okay, fair enough. Okay, that made
Yeah,
some sense
that
to
makes
me.
sense. That makes sense to me. I mean, you don't even like I
Especially
said
doing it in
again. You don't
college.
need.
It's college. It is what it is.
That's what I said. That's what I said. At higher level, like I said, I don't remember that ever being taught at high school. Like you wouldn't even have the time. Like high school class, at least for me, I can't speak for anybody. I don't know how it is in Canada. I think it's the same though. You only have like 45 minutes to an hour. You're not gonna have the time, and you're not devoting yourself to this cause. You got 7 other classes to worry about. Nobody, and like I said, high school kids not gonna care more likely than not. You just not the way the thing make it works.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
But we were all over the place today. I know that. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. All feedback is appreciated. All criticism is appreciated. I know for sure we have to get a better visual. This is the best I can do on Discord for the time being. I will talk to Townsy and get that up to snuff. But we had a really good viewing. We pretty much stayed around 20 for the whole time for the first stream we're doing on Kick. I appreciate you guys all showing up and listening. Let me know what you guys think. The next episodes will be more focused, more topic based. We'll have videos better prepared and stuff like
Might be
that.
might be shorter too.
Shorter too,
We
yeah.
kind of yeah.
Yeah, we actually went longer than I wanted, all things considered. But I hope you guys had fun. I'll start getting the Kick stuff, Green Twitch stuff, popping and going. Get some emotes and stuff. You guys can, share with some ideas you have. I'll talk to you guys on Twitch, and maybe we'll do some stuff on stream and everything. But thanks for coming through for the first episode of Young Paperwork and the Villain. That's YPTV. You already know. We're on Rumble. We're on YouTube. We're on Kick. We'll be on TikTok at some point. But anyways, y'all be safe and have yourself a good night.
Yes, sir. Top guys